All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. Are we back? That is the question for today. Are we back? We finally had a day where we got to use the green thumbnail in the morning and in the afternoon. And the reason for that is because if we pull up the heat map right here, we're green. We are green on the day. It has been a long time since we had this type of green, but we are green. There is a reason for it, and we will talk about the reason for this green, but we are currently right now up 2.95%. I actually did not look at the S&P 500 in the past 30 minutes because I was finishing some stuff up. We are up almost 3% on the day. Last time I checked it, we were at 648. Wow, 650. We were almost below 630 on Friday. 650 on the day. That is a 20-point movement on the S&P. That is 2.5 trillion dollars that have been added to the stock market on the day. If we close above 650, my goodness, this is incredible. So that is the question. That is the question. I'm going to put that poll right there in the chat right now. See what people think. Are we back? I know this has happened over and over, and I know these pumps get faded, but I mean, we have not had a pump like this in a while. 3% on the S&P. I don't think we've had a day in 2026 where we've had 3% on the S&P 500. I guess today is that day, and as a result, we're getting some momentum. Now, it is kind of nice because I just want to clarify to everybody, I feel like this should be a new rule. If I ever buy the bottom on a drawdown, which yesterday definitely got some of these bottoms, then no one is allowed to make any more bottom jokes about me. Getting the bottom, even if it's pure luck, is not easy. So if anyone gets the bottom, no more jokes about them being a bottom are allowed. I just wish yesterday was with more than $2,500. It would have been nice if the full 35,000 was there for me to catch the bottom on this. But look, I would be more than happy to buy into strength. I think a lot of people would be happy to buy into strength if we get real confirmation that this is happening. All of you guys are still saying on the bottom. Okay, whatever. But I don't know if we're going to get real confirmation if this is happening. For those that are wondering, why are we so green? The Iranian president, Pezeshkian, says Iran is ready to end the war with the U.S. but wants guarantees. This was your headline about 2 hours ago that got us going. That got us going green. Trump said a bunch of stuff in the morning. Trump made these arguments around, hey, the war is going to be ending soon. Negotiations are going well. And that stuff kind of helped. We were up 1%, but that 1% kind of faded a little bit. This thing that came out around 2:30, that's when everything changed. Oil started dumping. Oil right now, though, still at 102. It's not like it's at a massive decline. I mean, S&P up 3% with oil still above 100 is kind of crazy. And it goes to show how volatile this market is. But nonetheless, wow, 651 S&P, officially 3% on the day. The NASDAQ as well up 3%. We got 10 minutes until the market closes. That is how heavy this market has been waiting to rally on some type of good news. And the good news, which the market is interpreting as way more official than not, is that if Iran themselves wants to end the war, by the way, the negotiations that were discussed were a complete end to the war, no ceasefire, number one. Number two, the U.S. leaves the Strait of Hormuz, aka you can't force us to open it. Iran will eventually open it after they leave. And then number three, zero changes to their uranium enrichment policy, which obviously would allow them to still develop nuclear weapons. Now, if you're thinking those deals or those premises of the negotiation are unreasonable and the U.S. will never agree to it, you're probably right. The U.S. is not going to want to agree to that stuff. So it's a swing back and forth, and maybe the market's being a little bit too optimistic here in assuming that the war is going to come to an end based on the conditions that the Iranians have put out. But the fact is, it looks like the war is going to inevitably come to an end and come to an end sooner than what the market expected, even if the negotiations or the frameworks, the tenets for how the deal is announced is not exactly what the U.S. wants or exactly what the Iranians want. The Iranians will interpret it to be bullish for them, and they will sell that to their people. Trump will find a way to claim that he's gotten victory. And as a result, we might have the markets end up pumping. Micron up 4% on the day. Ondas up 11% on the day. Google's up 5%. Apple's up 3%. When is the last time the Mag 7 were up 3 to 4% on the day? Freaking Meta gave you 520. It's at 570. 570 on the day. Palantir up 6%. NVIDIA was almost below 160. It's at 174. I have 177.50 for this Friday. So, yeah, we're going to have to make sure that that gets rolled before NVIDIA gets to 177.50. But is there a world in which it gets there by the end of this week? Yeah, I think so. I mean, based on this momentum. Now, granted, cautiously optimistic. And the reason I'm cautiously optimistic, and I want to ask this question to everybody here, who bought today? Because I did no buying today. Again, I bought a little bit yesterday, nothing crazy, about $3,000 worth of stuff yesterday. But who bought today? Because the bigger question here is, and this goes into rolling covered calls or selling covered calls, is do you think we've actually put in the bottom? But more importantly than if we put in the bottom, Microsoft right there up 3.4% today. Do you think we have fundamentally recaptured enough of the moving averages, which we are close to doing? We did capture the 9 EMA, which is very nice to see. And Jason will be on in about 20 minutes, and we'll get his perspective from a Technical Tuesday angle. We also have Nike earnings after the bell. Do you think it's enough where S&P, we're at what, 650? Is that going to 660, 670, 680? Because if we have that level of a run in for us over the coming weeks, days, we'll talk to Jason and see what he thinks. Maybe it is wise and opportunistic to not only buy into strength, but to roll covered calls and clear out the portfolio so that there is momentum to benefit from the upside. But if we get a nasty April Fool's joke tomorrow, not only do we have permission to sell these aggressive covered calls, but we have permission to cry. Because if all of this fades tomorrow on April Fool's, we might have some permission to cry. I see a lot of mixed opinions in the chat, which I would imagine they are mixed opinions. Right now, 53% of you say no. 47% say yes, 53% say no. Are we back? But essentially interpreted as has it happened bottomed yet? I guess that's the way I would interpret that question. So I imagine more than 50% of you do not think we are anywhere close to the bottom, or we at least haven't bottomed yet. And I guess time will tell, but these headlines today, they're enough to get the market moving. And there's something fundamentally different about the interpretation of these headlines. Rocket Lab, look at that, up 12% on the day. It was at 57 yesterday. IREN's up 7%. The photonics plays, including AAOI, some momentum on something like Momentum up 7%, but that one has not been able to capture. And Nike's up 3%, ZETA's up 7%, Amazon's up 4%. The real question is, can this momentum hold itself? Because if it can hold itself, then I understand the excitement to buy. But if it can't, then I understand the skepticism to say, dude, I am fading this. I'm using this as liquidity to sell, and I'm not touching the equity markets until we get a real confirmation that the market is going down. I see a bunch of people saying, yes, I sold some covered calls, bought SOFI. SOFI was at $16 today. Where is SOFI? It is right here at 1586. Bought IGV, bought HIMS, bought UNH. UNH got to 257. Oh my goodness. UNH did get to 257 yesterday. Wow. Great buy. 270. I mean, pretty much anyone who bought anything yesterday has probably seen some decent momentum. Nebius fell to 90 yesterday, back to 102, 11% on the day. MicroStrategy is up 3%. Bitcoin still not above 70, but at least we're seeing that back from 65. Tesla, I'm seeing people say they bought at 360 yesterday. Tesla is at 371. It feels really optimistic. It's just, is it something that is meaningful enough for us to interpret as officially coming to an end? Let's get a little bit more coverage on why the market rallied today based on that rumor of the Iranians wanting the war to end, and then we will get into the close, Nike earnings, then Technical Tuesday.
Amen.
Yeah, Scott, as you say, markets have been moving on reports of a phone call held earlier today between Iran's president and the president of the European Council. Iran's state-affiliated Press TV is reporting that Iran's president said that the country seeks no war, but is prepared to end it with guarantees against further attacks. So that does convey a sense that Iran is continuing to offer up some conditions that could be built into any deal to end the war. But that's not necessarily new, and it's just one part of the set of demands that Iran has been making publicly already. Now, President Trump has said that negotiations are ongoing, and if Iran doesn't cut a deal that he likes by April 6th, he will bomb civilian infrastructure such as power plants. The president took to social media this morning to hurl some criticism at American allies who he argues have been insufficiently supportive of the United States. He wrote that France has been very unhelpful and warned that the USA will remember. And he wrote, I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the US. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage, go to the straight and just take it. You'll have to learn to start fighting for yourself. The USA won't be there for you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. But Scott, what many countries appear to be doing is cutting side deals to pay Iran for safe passage of their ships. That's creating a significant new revenue stream for the Islamic Republic that didn't exist before the war. Of course, what the president wants them to do is launch their own military capacity. It looks like buying their way out of the problem might be the more appealing solution to a lot of American allies.
You did as well, Eamon, also have this report later this afternoon that both China and Pakistan were collectively trying to be intermediaries here too, and presenting Iran with a deal for a ceasefire.
The Iranians did say that that was correct, that the Pakistanis and the Turks, along with the Egyptians, did try to help intermediate this deal. And quite frankly, we don't have all the details yet, but maybe they did come through and set up some type of a framework for this deal to be negotiated on. But, you know, we are still lacking a lot of details in terms of seeing if this is going to actually happen the way that it is being reported. Channel 13 citing Israeli official, failure of negotiations would lead to strikes on Iran's oil infrastructure. Expect Iran's response to U.S. conditions to derail talks. Okay, so if there is not a deal that is reached, if the negotiations don't go the right way, which I don't blame anyone for saying these negotiations are going to be horrible, because the Iranians are asking for a lot of stuff that if Trump agrees to, I mean, unless he symbolically agrees to it, there's no way people are going to think that the U.S. ended up winning this string of negotiations. Then you might have the Israelis come in, you might have the United States come in, and the power plant infrastructure attacks might be a lot worse than expected. So, I mean, if that happens, that's not a good thing, obviously. But, you know, if it doesn't happen, if we get some level of a deal that can play through, Bitcoin right there, 67,000, maybe we did see the bottom. Obviously, it is very volatile. It is very weird. We're going through different headlines. Also, by the way, you know, the headline is the Iranians want to end the war. But which Iranians? Because right now we know there's multiple factions of groups that are in Iran that we are negotiating with. And I guess we are talking to the Iranian president, if maybe that's the guy we're negotiating with. But we have other reports saying that we're talking to the parliament speaker. So it is confusing. And oil going up is not really a good thing, or at least oil not going down decisively. Crude still being at 102 is not the best thing. But I guess we got to take it day by day. And based on the day-by-day momentum, it does feel like at least today was one step in the right direction to potentially, I mean, dude, 2.5% of the S&P is no joke. That like, maybe it's a dead cat bounce, maybe, but that is a massive move. And for us to get that today, I do think it feels encouraging. And hopefully we get some more fundamental details that allow that to continue being encouraging as we get through the day, as we get through the rest of these coming weeks. It would be crazy too if we get the buy signal on April 9th. Again, that was the anniversary of it last year. 1 month since the war started would put us closer around April 20th, April 19th. So, you know, it might take a little bit more time, but I mean, if we see that come to fruition, maybe that is the signal. And that's when real money, real algos start buying the dip and ultimately buying into the strength if that dip turns into strength. Tuesday, March 31st, 4 p.m., first 2.5% day on the S&P 500 all year as the stock market is now closed. Green on the day, baby. 650 close. 650 close on the day. What a day it has indeed been. 2.92%. The funny thing about today's green is that not everyone trusts it. Even myself, I'm a bit skeptical. So it's like you're happy. You like you really want to be happy, but you're also like, well, maybe I shouldn't be that happy because we have been so abused emotionally by these headlines. I guess you can take it day by day, and at least on a day like this, we are seeing a bit more momentum. 650.41 on the S&P 500. That's up 2.92%. Palantir was up 6.5%. NVIDIA up 5.62%. NVIDIA added over $230 billion of market cap today. Open Doors up 5%. Google was up 5%. The Qs were up 3.4%. Wow, it's a big day on the Qs. TSM, that was up 7% on the day. TSM back to a $1.75 trillion company, was $2 trillion. Not too long ago. AppLovin still below 400, but that's up 6.9.7%. Estee Lauder is up 6%. GameStop was up 3.5%. Bloom Energy was down 9% yesterday. It's up 13% today. Amcor was up 9% on the day as well. Nike will have earnings coming up really soon. We should be getting those results quick. We will look at Nike earnings, look at a couple headlines, and then we will get into Technical Tuesday. Trump tells NBC News on Iran war it's coming to an end. Trump tells NBC News on Iran war it's coming to an end. It's very similar to what he said to CBS and the New York Post this morning. So once again, Trump making these statements. I think Trump's going to talk live as well, right? Yeah, the White House, let me see if they have the stream up. He might be signing an executive order today, which if he takes questions, then he might talk about Iran. So we'll see if that happens as well. Where was the VIX? I mean, if you don't believe in this move today, then definitely this is the time to buy some volatility for cheap. VIX is, wow, 17% down on the day. I mean, yeah, if you don't believe it, VIX is looking pretty cheap. Buying puts are probably a little bit cheaper than, I mean, the put premiums have gone pretty parabolic, but if you don't believe in this, maybe buying some protection also is not going to cost you as much. Hoodie, 69.30, up 6.35% of the day. Meta closed above 572. Incredible. IGV was up 3% of the day. Adobe was up 1%. ServiceNow actually closed red on the day. Interesting. Some of these software names still couldn't get that momentum. Microsoft at 370. Snowflake, they had a CRO change. That's why that stock was down. Rocket Lab, 64.22. CoreWeave, 12% day. Nebius, 10% day. MRVL got that $2 billion investment from NVIDIA. That was up 12.8% as well. So very, very nice to see that momentum as we're seeing it across the board. Space, ASTS, also up 12% on the day. Hollis says, my VIX shorts this week are paying off. Well, if you shorted the VIX when it was close to 30, yeah, that is absolutely paying off. Obviously, if you were in some heavy shorts either this morning or earlier this week or last week, today's the day they got ripped off if you did not close them. But if you also had just a little bit of protection, you're okay with letting that protection go to zero because your longs are not only protected, but they are starting to act like longs again, as the S&P right here is up 2.92% on the day. MicroStrategy up 2.75%. Nike earnings should be out in about 2 minutes. Usually it's at 4:05. If not, it'll be 4:10. Where are we on extreme fear and greed? We are 14. We were at 8 this morning. Or sorry, yesterday. So we are in 14. VIX usually sells off at 30. Yeah, I mean, historically, we have not seen VIX 60 this year. Remember, last year we saw VIX 60 during this whole tariff day stuff, so the Liberation Day stuff. So, I mean, the VIX got ugly this year. It never got that ugly. And maybe that was the extent of the pain. Again, a lot of this is rooted in headlines, but it also makes me feel, you know, the headlines have added, like, excitement to the market, but they usually get faded. Today, it didn't fade. Today it did not fade. And so I'm sure there's a technical component to what happened today. And when Jason comes on, we'll talk about that. But if there's also something more fundamental underneath the fundamental catalyst that the algos, the institutions, someone has picked up on, maybe that's why it didn't fade out today. Now, if it fades out tomorrow, then that's probably nonsense. But if it doesn't, if this momentum continues and the headlines don't get as bad, then maybe there's more truth to what the market is interpreting right here from these headlines. 174.45 on NVIDIA. That's up 5.67%. On the day. Nike earnings, we should be getting something soon. Let me see if they have it up yet. Not yet. Should be in the next minute. Why ServiceNow down on the day? To be honest, I'm not sure. That was one of the software names that ended up red inside of IGV. Oracle, by the way, laying off 30,000 people. So that's another reason Oracle pumped, as it is the ultimate neo cloud. And Oracle, look at that, 6% on the day. More layoffs are definitely something that is being interpreted as a positive for investors. Oh, Robinhood just crossed 1.5 billion in deposits in banking. Guys, they went from 0 deposits to 1.5 billion in less than 3 months. 100,000 funded customers. Like, banking is going to be, I think by the end of this year, if they keep it up, a 10 billion deposit platform for them, if not more. You know, 1.5 billion off 100,000 customers is incredible. And so they are absolutely taking some market share away from direct deposit and other brokerages. Now, they're not necessarily monetizing that at scale yet. That's going to take some time, but very nice to see that growth. Vlad tweeted that early today. And you're seeing a little bit more of that momentum as well. The JOLTS data was relatively tame. The market expected 6.9 million jobs. We came in at 6.88 million, so nothing really changed there. Today wasn't really a macro news type of day. Consumer confidence, JOLTS, none of that had a fundamental impact on how the market was interpreting any of the stuff. It was really rooted in, do we have some level of a real solution? The market added $1.75 trillion of market cap today, biggest daily gain since May of 2025. Do we have some level of solution or hope and optimism for the solution, or for a solution, that the war will come to an end? And I think that was the bigger picture for why the market came up today. Yes, we will have NFP this week. We will have it on Friday. The stock market will be closed, but the credit markets will be open. So bond yields, which let's take a look at that. We'll have to react to the NFP, even though the markets are closed. 4.319. 4.319. OpenAI valued at $852 billion after closing a $122 billion round. Wow. I thought the number was 830. Looks like we're at 852. OpenAI is well capitalized to pay AMD and Oracle and NVIDIA and all the people they got to pay. 122 billion is crazy. As one company to raise 122 billion. Unbelievable. But that's what you got. Nike, the earnings aren't out yet. The earnings aren't. I think Nike might be 410 or 415. So we might have to give it a couple more minutes. Dave & Buster's had earnings today. I didn't even know this stock was public. They missed on EPS by 176%. What the hell is the ticker for Dave & Buster's? Is it Play? Dave & Buster's stock. I think it's Play, right? Yeah, Play. That stock is down 12%. This is a $375 million company, so very small company. Revenue, they missed by 4%. EPS, they missed by 170%. Street thought they would do 46 cents a share. They came in at negative 0.35. Revenue, Street thought they would do 554. They came in at 529. Has anyone been to Dave & Buster's in a while? Like last time I went was years ago, like literally maybe a decade. I haven't been to Dave & Buster's in a minute. Is it even international, or is it's like an arcade in the United States? For those that don't know what it is. So, yeah, we have those earnings today. That stock down 10% right here. Oh, who's Eric Jackson is now long Peloton. Eric Jackson, that is his new thing. I don't think the fundamentals on this are that good. In fact, he says there's no debt. He says they have a big cash pile, but a lot of that is financed through stock-based comp when you look at their free cash flow. So I don't really understand his like logic on the financial. The financials just don't look good on it. But it's a really small company at 1.83 billion, and I don't know, maybe there's some potential in Peloton. But I always thought Apple should buy Peloton. I thought that was the easiest acquisition for them to make and just hook the iPad up. And I don't know. I thought that would have made sense a long time ago, but. Yeah, Peloton right there, up 7.25% on the day. Robinhood at 69.61. Nike should be out too. And then Tesla right here at 371 on the day. OpenAI sold around $3 billion of shares to individual investors in a recent private placement. I imagine the subscription demand I would imagine the demand for the individual investors was oversubscribed for OpenAI, so they were easily able to sell $3 billion worth of their stock. And, as a result, it looks like they will continue to be able to finance their activities, which they have a lot of activities to finance if they want to keep growing at the rate that they are growing at. You're seeing a decent chunk of momentum right here, still even after hours. In terms of NVIDIA, as we wait for Nike's earnings, which should be out in a second, this is what you get when you buy NVIDIA now. Intel, Synopsys, CoreWeave, Nebius, Nokia, Lumentum, Coherent, and Marvell. NVIDIA has, I think when you add it up in total, it's almost 20 to 30 billion of basically an ETF inside of these AI supply chain / partnership plays for them. So this is what you've got now as you get exposure to NVIDIA. OSS, was that up on the day? I actually didn't check. I still own OSS. OSS, one of my favorite small caps of the day. Did we get some moves on this? Yep, 5%. Okay, so even this one getting back around that $8 range, which is kind of where it's been headed in. Robinhood 69.30. Where was Grab on the day? I think that was up about 2%, up 3.68%. Again, the rising oil prices are still not good for Southeast Asia and consumer companies in Southeast Asia like Grab. The biggest headline I thought we got this morning as well is that Indonesia, based on the rising oil prices, is now setting a way to ration the fuel, and they are literally mandating that governmental employees don't go to work one day of the week, or they work from home one day of the week. So the idea that oil prices going up is having an impact on some of the least developed parts of the world, yeah, it's obviously having an impact. And the question is going to be, can we get oil prices down soon enough for that impact to not be as severe? S&P 500 still 650 after hours. Nike right there up about 0.34%. We should be getting numbers soon on Nike. Put in the chat if you own Nike, and also let me do the pump or dump poll for Nike and see what people are thinking. This is a name that actually has a very large retail audience. Nike is a heavily covered name, and it made a move earlier in the year, but then gave it back. I don't even know why it gave it back, quite frankly, because I thought the tariff stuff going away was going to be like bullish for them, but that didn't happen. Nike, pump or dump? What do we think? Yeah, decent amount of you already saying that you own Nike in the chat. Restoration Hardware, is that down 11%? That is down 13%. It looks like they just came out with earnings. That might have not been the best. Wow, 222 was the estimate for EPS. They came in with 153. That's a miss. Revenue Street wanted 873. They came in at 842. That is a miss. So Restoration Hardware not really getting a lot of love. Now, this makes sense. This is a luxury home furnishing brand which basically curates high-end furniture, and the housing market is frozen right now. So it doesn't really make sense for them to have a massive earnings, but the street definitely punishing them right here. Micron getting a little bit of a move after hours. That's up about 1%. You're getting a lot of these names continuing their momentum after hours. Restoration Hardware, ticker symbol RH, down 14%. Nike, we're still waiting for. I guess it's 4:15, so give it about 3 minutes. Workhorse as well. They had earnings. WKHS, that stock is flat after hours. They beat on EPS. 246 versus 1608 negative, and then revenue they beat 9.73 million versus 3.5. So that is also a nice move for Workhorse, or at least earnings for Workhorse after hours. Getting another headline right here. I don't know if this is good or bad, but Iran's, well, it's definitely not good. Iran's steel plant hit in U.S.-Israel strike. Now, I don't know if this is a recent strike. Cactus, if you can find out if this was a recent strike or if this was a strike from a couple of days ago and the Iranians are now just reporting that the steel plant was hit. But you kind of don't want to see in the middle of negotiations steel plants and energy infrastructure getting hit. Robinhood right there trying to go for 70 after hours. Any aggression is not good for oil prices, and it's definitely not good if the market is convinced that we're coming to a peace deal soon. So a couple of days ago, right? Yeah, that's old, right? Okay, so Iranian state media is reporting that as of now. That's why the headline is coming in. I'm sure people have heard the headline before, but they are reiterating that. So that's good. The market's not reacting to that because that's not I would imagine that's not something that just happened. Yeah, we covered the steel plant getting hit a couple of days ago. So the fact that the Iranian media is reporting that, see, this is going back to the factions in Iran. Like, there are parts of Iran that don't want a peace deal to happen, and they want to create more volatility. So even something like recycling headlines, which, by the way, the United States media does that as well, that could be a way to try to, create more volatility. And it looks like that's what we're seeing right here, but it's not really affecting the broader S&P, still 650 after hours. The Wall Street Journal had it yesterday. Yeah, so that's not going to be interpreted as anything that new. Okay, Nike, we should get it in 1 minute. We should get it in 1 minute. What do we got? What did you guys say? Pump or dump? 55% say dump for Nike. Honestly, I have no idea, dude. I have not looked at Nike's financials in so long. I really have no clue. All right. Do we have the numbers? Initially, we're down 52, down 1%. Let's see if that reverses. Now we're green. Now we're back red. Now we're green. Now we're red. 52.8. Oh, now we're green. No. Now we're red? No, we're green. 52.90. Now we're red. No, now we're green. What's the numbers? Revenue, 11.24 billion. We came in at 11.28. 11.28. That's a beat. The street doesn't really care. It's going red to green, red to green. Gross margin, 40% versus 39.8. That's a beat. China EBITDA, or EBITDA from China for Nike, 467 versus 269. That's a beat. EPS 35 cents versus 31 cents. That's a beat. Okay, so they beat on revenue. They beat on China EBITDA. They beat on EPS. Triple beat. China is definitely something that matters heavily for Nike, so that's why they separately report it. EPS 35 cents versus 28 cents expected. And did you still own Nebius? Yes, I still own Nebius. Streets, not really cooperating. 0.4%. I mean, it's basically flat, to be honest. Nike had a decent amount of insider buys. Yeah, that is that's a 25% beat on EPS. That's not a small beat on EPS. Gross margins, they also beat on that. Inventory, 7.49 versus 7.53. That's good. They have less inventory. That means they're selling more product. Can't imagine guidance. So Nike, to my understanding, doesn't do guidance until the call. So I don't think we're going to get that number right now. But that is what you got for Nike. Yes, I saw this headline as well. Judge orders halt to Trump's ballroom project. I imagine Trump is going to fight that and try to make sure he can make his ballroom. But I don't even know why the judge ordered the halt to it, but apparently the judge did. You said you sold your NBIS. No, I sold 60% of it. I sold 60% of it at 105. I missed the rally to 130, but I still have 40% of the position. Have not added to it since then. S&P 650. Nike is doing nothing, guys. Nike is doing nothing. OpenAI funding round led by Amazon, NVIDIA, SoftBank, with Microsoft also participating. Okay. That's nothing too new. Revenue on Nike, that is correct, is it's up 1% year over year. You're not really getting any growth. EPS is down 35% year over year. So, I mean, this is just not super impressive, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now she's dumping. Now she's down 1%. All right. Well, outside of Nike, it was still a very nice day. We have not had almost a 3% move on the S&P in a very, very long time. I think this whole year, I don't think we've had it. Maybe in January, we might have had like 1 3% day, but it has been a while. And so, I mean, time will tell to see if this ends up officially playing out. By the way, Warren Buffett called the sell-off recently nothing. And Berkshire bought $17 billion of treasuries last week. So you did have Buffett come out over the morning and say that a lot of what we experienced today was not that big of a deal. He also said the same exact thing during Liberation Day. He said the sell-off is not that serious because, you know, he's been around for a while. He's seen a lot more serious drawdowns, but I wonder if not putting cash to work right now for Berkshire is the best option because they've been holding on to their cash for a while.
Well, let's talk about that. The market has come down substantially.
Not substantially.
Well, you've got both the Dow and the NASDAQ in correction territory. It's the worst performance on a quarterly basis for stocks in about 4 years. Do things look cheaper to you?
No. 3 times since I've taken over Berkshire, it's gone down more than 50%. I mean, if you look at the markets of, the worst probably was the 2007-8 period, although there was that one Monday when you had 21% in a day. I mean, this is nothing. I mean,
Well, this is nothing to make you get excited and think there's huge valuation
well,
drops.
if they're 5 or 6% cheaper,
Yeah.
that doesn't. We aren't in it to make 5 or 6%. I mean,
So Mr. Buffett says, you know, we're down 7% from the highs. We're not in the market to make 5 or 6%, which means he is not buying the dip. He said Berkshire bought $17 billion of treasuries last week, which means they are soaking up those juicy 4.3% returns, and they're happier putting their money in something risk-free versus taking a risk on some of these equities on the day. All right, folks, that's what we got with most of the headlines. Oh, we had Beyond Meat earnings, revenue 61 versus 62.9. This stock is down 7%. I don't know if there's still a big Beyond Meat cult. Looks like they missed on revenue by $1 million. If there is, then, well, stock's down 7%, missed by $1 million on revenue. It was up 15% today, though. So you did have a big move. I mean, the fact that Beyond Meat went up 15% today means the algos were buying up everything. And we just went straight up. And now the question is going to be, you know, can we hold on to a lot of that green momentum? Oh, boy. Iranian state media. Steel plant was targeted for the second time in a week. Okay, so the Iranians are saying the U.S. keeps targeting the steel plant, even though that was news from 3 days ago. Second time in 1 week, as per the Tasnim news agency. S&P is not really reacting to that so far. I'm not sure if the market believes that or if the market thinks that's a major escalation, but we will have to keep an eye on that to see if that attack is legit. Obviously, I think the U.S. is not incentivized right now to attack if we are getting close to a deal. I mean, Trump literally delayed the power plant attack by 10 days for the very reason that we were getting close to a deal. So I guess time will tell if this ends up fully playing out. All right. Let's get into Technical Tuesday. For those that are new to the channel, we have one of, in my opinion, the best minds when it comes to technicals in the stock market. And I was on the phone with him a couple of hours ago, and let's just say he has some thoughts on what's going on, has some interpretations, some very nuanced views of what happened today. Today was a big day. 3% on the S&P is not something you see very often. And so we are going to talk to him for the next 3 to 4 hours, get his thoughts. We're going to go through the indices, the major names, NVIDIA, Palantir, Tesla, Hood, Google, etc. And then we will get into audience requests. So if you have a request, you can stay for the next couple hours. If not, you can go back to the chapters after the live stream is done. It'll have all the chapters with all the tickers, and you can go to your exact ticker to figure out some of these technical perspectives from Jason. Having said that, it is once again time, for the first time this year, on a 3% green day on the S&P, it is time to roll the intro.
We made it.
Everyone wants to know if you found your baby from last week.
Dude, the baby was never lost. Number one.
He was lost for it. You didn't know where he was, to be fair. There was a moment.
I was not worried about it. The chat, I appreciate all of your concern. But
there was a good 10 seconds where you were like, where's my baby? But
well, I mean, I could not see him. There he is. Dude, he's all on these glasses right now. He loves it. But he fell asleep on the couch, like under the pillows. The front door was locked. The back doors were locked. There was no shot that he was getting out. It was not even for a minute was I worried about that. But it was very weird.
The fact that he was hiding under the pillow was hilarious, or sleeping under the pillow.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a green day. It's a green day.
It's green day.
Ooh,
we're good.
I like it. Green day.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's start off with the S&P, guys. We're probably going to spend about 10 minutes on the S&P today, not 5 minutes, because Jason has a lot of thoughts. The title of the stream, as you can see, is called 48 Hours of Glory, and that is the name of this session.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, it is 48 Hours of Glory, and it is because Jason is thinking we have 48 hours of glory. So let's pull up the S&P, and let's kind of...
How come I don't see that as the name?
You got to scroll to the end.
Okay. 48 hours. There it is. I love it. So, I guess what do we want to know first? That's the real question, right?
I think let's start off with the S&P, and let's explain to people what your interpretation of 48 hours of glory actually means. By the way, yes, Jason was at the LA meetup. Real quick, just like a minute on that. We'll talk more about it at the end, but how's your experience at LA?
Dude, so awesome. Every time, like, and this isn't the first one. We can take this down. This was not the first time that I went to a meetup. I think the first one was in Palo Alto, but it's just, I was not expecting to see, like, one, like, yeah, the amount of people, but two, I always in my mind be like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be, like, received. But the amount of like positive, like, I so appreciate it.
I talked to at least 15 people that were like, where's Jason? I joined his Discord. I need to see Jason. I was like, goodness, Jason's like, people mess with you.
We had a lot of people that are in the chat, like in my Discord or my chat and yours. Like we have a lot of like crossover both, but it's a lot for someone that is used to spending basically their life hiding behind a screen right now to be like in front, but it's so worth it, man. So worth it to see everybody there. And like actually get a minute to like meet everyone. I mean, just next level. Plus it's wild. Like we're talking about investments and stuff. And like people here know, like at home, it's weird because like at home you try to talk about that kind of stuff and you either get like the glazed over faces or like I think you usually with some kind of TikTok stock opinion. Like, all right, what? But like in that environment, that's special. Like I do have a buddy of mine that I grew up with that actually trades with me full time. So I know I'm unique in that sense, but to see this many people, all like doing the same thing was like, it's just so cool. And I'm like so incredibly appreciative of everybody that said what's up and that made it. I mean, it was just amazing.
I love it. Becoming Artificially Rich said, it's insane to meet so many people that just understand you. I have never felt so seen in my life at a MITS meeting.
That's good.
That was dope. That was dope.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. S&P, what do we got going on here in your perspective?
Let me do this real quick. So I saw the Buffett clip that you had just now. Also, he's not wrong. It wasn't really that big of a pullback so far. Right now, where we stopped was essentially like, technically speaking, and if you don't follow me on X, you probably should if you want to be able to like catch some of these things a little bit better. Yesterday at the close, I closed like a ton of my shorts also, and I basically did as best as I could. Whenever you see a praying Indian on my timeline, that means we're basically gonna go long. That's the code. But yeah, that's really where we were. I think what happened for sure is, technically speaking, we hit all of the extended downsides. Last time we spoke, it was actually like, hey, we could be as low as the 620s. And for me, what told me we were done was my NFP system. So I had, we lose 643, we go down to 628. I can line this up with TA, but this is a fundamental system that kind of sets it all up. And I posted today as basically live before the market opened, where I saw everything going and how it would play out. And it really happened. The other thing I would say is, like, as we've been selling off, the biggest thing to me, and if you're in LA and I talked to you about this, I got this question a lot, is that this whole time it looks bad, but what I wasn't ever seeing was like a liquidation or like capitulation event. What I ended up seeing was like basic selling, that slowly the dips stopped getting bought, and then towards Thursday and Friday, really the dips definitely stopped getting bought, and it was just more selling. But at that point in time, it's like what I saw in the market was that everybody's basically hedged, especially towards the end, and because of that, quite frankly, we probably weren't ever going to actually fall off a cliff in that moment. But today, I'm still looking in. You love that. But today, I'm still not seeing a lot of net new money come into the market. I am absolutely seeing, if you were in the market this morning, we have a huge gap overnight. And, I was thinking that we could just blast off. This is not what happened. What happened for like a good, couple hours, the whole first half of the day, we were essentially stuck until a headline came out. But while we were stuck still, during this moment, I wasn't seeing any active buyers happening. Like, didn't happen. I did see a lot of shorts covering. So whenever you get like a dip like that, and then you get this kind of like quick spike up, this is a very small time frame. I'm a day trader too, so like very small time frame candles here, but you probably can't see it. But they all of this is not net new money getting long. This is shorts just kind of covering really quick. Like, oh, we stopped going down, cool. And that's for sure, we stopped going down. So I'll say that the lows in for the week, I don't care what the headline is, we're not going below that low right now.
You don't think we retouch 630? You don't think that happens?
No.
Why?
So
Why?
Even though there's a gap here, as long as we're continuing, like, this is good. We're going to stop before we get to 630. There's going to be a stop right at 643. So again, when I posted it this morning, as we go, 643 is important. That was the day before yesterday's breakdown right here. We are nearing the first level of resistance. Believe it or not, I had 652 today. I literally got there, but that was after the squeeze. I think you took a poll earlier too. And you and I briefly spoke about this, is I'm still just seeing short covering. I'm not seeing a bunch of net new money come in long here. What I'm seeing right here, right now, is shorts covering. This can go as far as until people get net new long. So I don't think this is necessarily done, is my sentiment right now. Yes, we are at the first major stop. If we get a pullback to those 643 again, honestly, that's gonna be a buy, most likely. If we cannot get below that right there, 643.33, very likely what we see, at least for now. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger for you. Can you see that? Probably not. I hate having to make this super big, but you'd be looking for a higher low. If we lose 643, and that's the number. So from here on out, it's 643. That should be the low. As long as we're over that, it's all good. 652 a couple weeks ago or last week, I don't remember, was where we were, possibly breaking down. So Tuesday, 652.
Yep,
Remember,
yep.
we were. I'm a little bit over time. I hope it's okay.
No, let's leave this one going because this one's important.
This right here, this is where we were last week, and I think last week I said if we're below, then we could be in the 620s by the next time we talk. That's literally this. It was 628 would have been that level right here, down into this, which is heavy support, but we didn't even get there. I mean, obviously it's a tone change. I don't think that anybody's it's if we open tomorrow over 652 and change, I actually expect to see new money get long.
So hold on, this is the questions people have in the chat. How do you know that today is short covering versus net new longs? What is the
so if we saw net new longs, so shorts will get squeezed, if you will, over 643. I know that just because if this is how it's going to work. And that's actually kind of what we saw right here. This moment right here, that's a bit of a squeeze, like these quick moves. Net new money long was cautious all morning. These little bounces again, quite frankly, I was very disappointed with the bulls out of the gate this morning. I was like, really? This is like everything that everybody wanted. Like this should be game on. And they were very cautious until the very last minute, which really just kind of triggered a squeeze. It was like the final holdout of a lot of these bears that were holding on to some near dated puts. That right there, plus a little bit of liquidity. I think actual longs probably started to come in at the close towards the end of the day, because I'm not seeing that squeeze momentum, but I did see that orderly kind of bouncing at the lows throughout the day, which is really just from a stock personality perspective. It's just squeezy, like shorts squeezing, like shorts covering, not like aggressive, like constant orderly rallies. And I think that's what we could start to see from here. Is it like massive explosive? Probably not. And if we did see that, that would be extremely suspicious anyways, because all that would be is just a couple shorts covering and they might just open them back up right on you again. So as long as we can have an orderly move over 652 and call it a half, legitimately remember that 670 area, that's where we really broke down.
Yeah. That was the first moving average we lost, which started this entire downtrend, right?
That is what we should be able to get to in this bounce, at which point that's when, and the problem is, and this is your overhead resistance. So 670s, just over 670s, possibly as high as like just under 680, not over 680. But if we can get slightly higher tomorrow, this is what's going to come back in. Anybody that sold that was over here because they were selling over here, they're going to get back long. They're going to FOMO back in. They're like, oh, we're back over last week's levels. And they'll be like, we're all clear. We're good for a bounce. And we probably are good for a bounce into just under 680, at which point that's when I would really be a little bit more cautious. So I'm going to preface this whole thing with, this is a bounce. It is at least a breather. No question. Is it the bottom? No, it is a bottom for right this moment, but part of in my head, and if I was in LA and I talked to you about this, even when we're on the thing, people ask me, what are we doing? And I'm like, honestly, if I were to guess, it'd be like sell off Monday, bounce Tuesday, Thursday, and then maybe like flatten out, maybe a little bit of a pullback towards the end of the week, and start to kind of like teeter over, which could be like this. Oops. Which could be like this. Who knows? But that means that 652, this next level that we're about to breach, the following week could create that kind of a move. And that's realistically what I'm looking at.
So why are well, let me ask this question first, and then we'll get into we'll get into the 48 hours of glory. So Joanne says on Friday, he posted that we're not even close to a generational buying and that he's not buying at all. So is this a dead cat bounce? Is it supposed to get a lot worse?
It's so beginning with what I said earlier was like the way that we were coming down before, the market doesn't have like those crazy COVID or Liberation Day bottoms if they're not caught off guard.
Right.
And
right.
so if you think about how I'm trying to step by step, the market was not getting caught off guard before. Here now, we have shorts covering. Here, if we go any higher, we'll start to see new money get long. If something does, and literally in that moment, that's how they would get you.
Yeah, and a generational dip buying opportunity is not 7% down on S. I mean, S&P fell 30% April.
Not even close. What I will say is like I have an opinion. Sorry to interrupt. I have an opinion on like whether or not this is going to be a generational dip buy. My opinion is that it is. But if you're long term, like you can't trust that. Like I have seasonality, I have this, that, and the other. Honestly, long term, that's noise. So like if you're long term, this was a dollar cost average spot. I think you got a really you got a good spot, right? In my like super passive stuff, I did DCA also today, but it's just like, it's not anything crazy. It's just the basic stuff. And with the caveat that we could go substantially lower too. So I think it's perfectly fine and probably prudent if you are in the long-term never sell camp, because I'm wrong all the time. A lot of stuff doesn't work out the way it's supposed to work out. And you never know. Nobody's going to call the exact bottom. I'm not even going to think about actually trying to call the exact bottom. Like that's not how it's going to work. But
and to be fair, if Trump comes out tomorrow and says the Iranians are incapable to negotiate with, we're putting ground troops, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? We're going lower.
Right.
And so the market's propped up off the idea that that's not going to happen because Trump has given a lot of signals for that. But that also doesn't mean that it can't happen, which is why everyone is so scared of.
Yeah, and the shock would come after everyone think it's all good. And so that's my one concern, is that we are coming into a bounce where people are covering their shorts, not as hedged as they were before, myself included. And if something goes sideways, that's exactly how the market would get caught off sides, not what this 3-month like slow bleed to the upside. But that would literally be, if we were at 675, I'm pretty sure everyone in the market would think that it's all good. We're completely in the clear and that we're going to go see all-time highs. I'm saying like in that moment, that's when I would be a little bit more cautious than optimistic. Right here, right now, for the next at least week, like this week, hopefully through the next week.
So what is the 48 hours of glory? Because I think that ties into.
It's literally up to here. Like we could, let me pull it on. So 669 spot 77 in the next session. If we open up over 652, literally in a single session, it's actually very possible to see another $15 of upside, believe it or not, in a single session. So that it could be 670 by the end of this week. Right. 669 spot 77. After that, TBD, right? So after that, then we have to go through up to, it could go up to 678, but we have to stop at 675. It gets a little bit choppy up here, but this big gap right in here to here, this moment is when all the rest of the shorts that are open will squeeze. And also when a lot of people will think that we're in the clear, and that can produce another just under $20 worth of a rally. How many dollars is that? It's another 2.5 to 2.7%, $17.
So you're saying in the next 2 days, given this momentum, if we break above 652 tomorrow, the upside target for you in this 48 hours of glory is 670. Let me ask you, what happens if we stay flat, or if we're
beautiful?
Like, what
so
happens?
Still 643. So it's like I'll just draw some arrows that would be like pathing. So first arrow, we don't open over 652. We should expect to come back down to 643. Expect that. And in that moment, there's a 30-minute. In this moment, I would want to see this hold here around 643. I think that's going to be okay for me. I'll probably end up selling those put credit spreads just like that. I didn't do it today because we're just like rippy. I had an opportunity. I stalled a little bit. I did close my call credit spreads. So my call credit spreads, remember, are for this area up here. I closed them anyways. I think they were like up 50%, but I would expect this range to go again. And then we'll try it again the very next day. And once we do get this, that's what this should look like, a full move. If we don't hold this, then and only then do we get to close this 628 session gap. And so it's 643. If we're trading below 643, spot 33, the little session gap from this weekend does come into play. But I honestly, I just don't see that happening in this instance. There's some rule sets that we use for gap days and things like that. First rule of a gap is like, okay, if it doesn't try to immediately fill it, this inefficiency, it's not going to right now. And we call this a gap and go, and you kind of just ignore it until we're actually trading in towards that. And so that what that would look like is below 640, 643. We will, at that point, go ahead and start to close this. But we're not going lower than 628. Like, that's just, even if that happens to me, like I said before, there's no shot. I mean, it's just not happening, technically speaking, unless I'd have to be opening completely under 625 to say that we're going a little bit lower. And even then it's like $5 lower. This whole area is support. Yeah, it's just not in the cards right now. In the next week, in this week, the only thing that can change that, plus we have the window for buybacks opening mid-April. We had this weird thing. Today is the last day of the quarter, last day of the month. It's extremely rare to actually close on the absolute lows of a month. It's also extremely rare to open and set the absolute highs in a month or a quarter out of the gate either, right? So whatever, I feel like we have this range up to 670. Anything down here is probably buyable. I'm more inclined, usually on the first bounce like this, it's the better thing to do is actually to sell some put credit spreads in this instance, especially with vol this high. And again, I'm happy to sell some like short-term premium and hold that short premium for like 2 weeks, because that's how much time I can see right now, like with a pretty good sense of certainty. But this is
do you still think it's a covered call market as well, or more on the put side?
I think that you could, depending on how far out you are, like if you have covered leaps, you don't need to worry about it right now. You can take them down if you want. It depends on where you are. And that kind of gets me to the next thing. I was like, maybe we can talk about this, maybe not, but there's a concept called relative strength. And when it comes to the index, this is one thing, but when it comes to picking your specific stocks, it's a whole nother thing. So depending on what stock you have, they're not all going to act the same. Some stocks are, and this is the most important piece of investing and trading. If we do create this bottoming situation, there's going to be relatively strong stocks and relatively weak stocks. Like IGV, sure, it was good, but like even I'm watching my Robinhood, it didn't have the greatest day. Like we're just now barely getting over $70.
Yeah.
You mentioned Service Now being red on the day. Those are not relatively strong stocks. Those are stocks that are off the absolute lows and are down highest from the highs, or down the most from the highs. Clearly, and this is same for every drawdown that I can think of, they're not going to be outperforming like longer term in the next, I say long term, next 9 to let's say 12 to 24 months. That's not really what I want to see. What I want to see is stuff that had barely any drawdown during the pullback and today had really good upside moves. Those are the stocks that will outperform. Those are the stocks that you should still gravitate towards. And that should be your immediate like go-to. So if you have cover calls on something like, I'll just speak about like Corning, very strong throughout, very near, or NVIDIA, very nearly towards the lows. Like SMH only had about 2 days worth of a breakdown at the index level. But today, the sector, SMH, up significantly more. SMH up 5.7% compared to SPY's 2.5%. That is actually relative strength. So yeah, it did break down a little bit, but when you look across the board, your NVIDIA buy, I even nibbled a little Broadcom lotto, we'll see. But like this is right now currently relative strength at the index level. I had hedged this. I took those hedges mostly down. I have a little bit, but if this continues, and that's what you'd want to monitor moving forward, the names that were strong in this moment and the names that are still outperforming as we come out of that for this year, those are going to be your best performing stocks. And I think this is a moment that could give you that answer. And it's super important. Like even Amazon, you know, Amazon, I was very worried about, almost broke down. So far, it never broke down. Like it broke down post earnings, right? But unlike everything else, it did not see new lows just yet. We tested the lows. It was very close to breaking down, but it didn't. This is going to be a question of if we get into the consumer, you know, maybe this Amazon has a bit of a hard time. It's not out of the woods yet by any means.
So if someone, and let's get into the large cap tickers in a second, but for someone who says like Freddie, I sold my Nebius today thinking this was a fake bounce. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate that move?
So relative strength is actually, you can assign a value to it. Like it's called RS in technical analysis. This is relatively strong, actually. So the pullback, it was basic, and then you got a little bit of bounce. This is news driven. I think a stock like Nebius is very important right now to watch in general also. So if you don't mind, we could look at this specific stock.
Why don't we, let's start it. Let's put it the timer. Let's start off with Nebius.
So Nebius is, you know, the pop here on Nebius was the Meta deal, right? The Meta announcement of this data center build. And the last 2 days of sell-off was really, to me, the market had not been questioning whether or not the data center spend is going to continue at the current pace that it has been until the Meta issue, we see Google issue, the legal issues, and then it starts setting in. Oh, well, we have higher oil for longer. That's gonna affect inflation, which is therefore gonna affect the consumers and the businesses. And is Meta and Google and Microsoft, who's way down at the lows, are they still going to be spending as much on the data center build? And for a couple days, the market questioned that. And today they're like, maybe that was a little bit harsh. And that is a story that I'm seeing. And I think Nebius is the one that would probably tell you that story the most, because this whole pop is that. And then the drop is literally the same time that Meta drops. And I think it's a perfect visualization of exactly the market questioning exactly that. So whether or not it's true, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, when I look at a chart like this, that's what I interpret. And I can take that and I can bring that over to Dell. We saw Dell kind of selling off, same thing at the highs. you know, and as an investor, this is moratorium for all right. As an investor, you kind of, it's up to you. It's like, do I call the market's bluff or not? If you want to try to put an edge, like market's wrong here, they're overreacting or they're not. Again, none of this is massive discounts. Quite frankly, Nebius is exactly the same spot it has been for a while. Still remains one of the best companies to sell some like option premium on. I mean, the crew I guarantee is like absolutely cleaning house on Nebius cover calls and cash secured puts right now. But you know, that's perfectly fine where it is. I just want to watch this to give me the sentiment, specifically Nebius, whatever, of is the market discounting the data center spend in this moment? Because the market is it's very myopic. They decide if they want to take Nebius down, probably specifically this would be a tell for all the other data center component spends, which I think are still good. They've been relatively strong. You mentioned OSS, all those kind of names, but I don't know if those are the ones that are going to be the ones for the next couple of years. They should be good for the next 9 months, as long as the market doesn't question that. But once the market does question whether or not data center spend is going to continue at the same pace or higher, it's not a question of whether or not it's going to continue, but it's at the same pace or higher. Well, really higher.
And it's on a day like this, when it goes up 10%, it's almost like all the fears that you brought up feel irrelevant, right? Because it just made a 10% move. Now, either that's fake or it was just an exaggerated sell-off, which is what.
So let's talk about Micron. Extreme relative weakness today. Extreme weakness. So this is what would be somewhat concerning. And maybe Micron specifically has its own situation. Micron, while it's up 5%, dude, a name like Micron should have been up 10% compared to its peers. This is what I mean. Like, this is a little bit more concerning. I was short Nebius coming into the week, or Nebius, Micron. I closed my Micron shorts today, but I'll tell you what, I had plenty of time to close my shorts while this thing was chopping at the lows. All I had to say was, okay, it's not continuing down right now, but it was at the lows. It did fill its gaps, so it doesn't have any gaps right now, but it barely got did it even get halfway through yesterday's? No, it didn't even reclaim half of yesterday's range. So this one is more concerning. Maybe it's a Micron specific situation, but I would be cautious to say I'm going to jump back into Micron based on relative strength moving forward. So yeah, it was relatively strong coming in, but how these things look coming out also is equally important.
I agree with you. And real quick, any levels on Nebius you're looking at? Entry and exit?
I told them I would text you.
Oh yeah.
I didn't text this big old text emit.
That's fair. So around 80 is what we're looking for.
Below 80, yeah. Below 80. And again, I might not even text you at 80. I might wait for this. If you're in it, I think you can stay and continue to sell some premium. This thing is like printing for people that are selling premium on this name. I mean, I'm not doing it. I should have been doing it this entire time. I said this a couple of times. I feel like an idiot right now, but it is what it is.
And upside, you think 130-ish, that range can still.
Yeah. I think last time I said I would be selling upside calls around here and probably selling downside puts around here. So that's around 65. And then around 120 on the call side, which is a massive range, but happens to be a range that it's traded over like for a very long time. This from a pattern perspective, or like this does look like what we would call accumulation. So clearly some people bought it today. I think I would be still cautious because this could go on for quite a bit longer before it's ready to be done consolidating. So I think this is still fine to continue on.
Okay, let's do NVIDIA next. But before that, real quick, shout out to the Bearish Bull watching from London.
Let's go.
Time in London is 9:50. If you guys are ever watching us and you want to tweet at us the setup of how you're watching, I'd love to show it on the show. It's always super cool to see how people are consuming the content. So there you go. NVIDIA, what are we thinking?
NVIDIA. So relatively strong. We had this is wild. I think we had low 160s was the level. Here's what's weird. What I didn't do is go out and buy a bunch of calls yesterday, which is what I normally would have done in our regular market. I'll just tell you that also. I was very hesitant to do that. All I did was cover a bunch of shorts, and I'm happy that I did. I actually didn't because I still had shorts on, which means I actually lost money trading today, but it could have been a lot worse, and I'm still very green. But the thing about NVIDIA is that I'm more interested in how we go forward from here. So relatively strong, holding up. Is this going to continue relative strength? Here now, very much the same. This 170 area was prior support. The very absolute low end of that support box was 164. I mean, that's as perfect as you can get. Look at this 164, right? The thing is that this has to be the lows, because if it's not, we're going lower. And right here, right now, it's the same thing. Like if we want to get net long NVIDIA, and I'm not sure about NVIDIA, that's why I'd rather watch it a little bit more. If it can get through that 175, I think, we're absolutely going to see 185, like a $10 shot to the upside, possibly even 190. But then we're right back to where we were again, where I would be more cautious at that point in time and expect a little bit more chop as we come into earnings. But as we come into earnings, also what's been holding the market up is that we just came off of record earnings. And I don't think there's any question, period, end of story, that I don't think anybody should question if this coming earnings is going to be epic. Like I can look at this and be like, what the reports that are probably going to come in should be absolutely epic. The issue becomes, what about the quarter after that? So in 2 quarters, the moment that these earnings reports come out, the market's going to instantly go, well, for the last 2 months, we've had elevated oil prices. How is that going to affect you moving forward? If it's not addressed on a call, and all the companies are probably going to have to address that kind of stuff on the calls, that's where it gets a little shaky. So from a time perspective, this could be wild. We're like, it could be a very long, drawn out, like holding pattern still, which is not fun. But this was a time to be hedged and also close some hedges near term. If you probably generated a solid, believe it or not, I would guess 15 to 20% extra cash by doing that in just this little blip on the radar, which is really good, like really good. And so we'll have to see from here. Now we can bounce. And like I said, I didn't see any net new money coming in long. So I just saw shorts covering right now. When people get long, you'll know, because we're all the way back towards those highs. And that's at that point is when I would be more concerned. If we start failing, look, we lose 170, we're probably going to test that 165. So it's literally, we can come back into 170 here, right here, where we've bounced so many times before. That's okay, but that has to stop like that. This is okay, and a little bit of a chop is okay, and I'd want to see that at the highs, like.
Yeah, and when I'm assuming when you're saying this has to be the lows, because if we're not, we're going lower. What you're actually, which is very obvious, what you're actually saying is, if we violate the quote unquote bottom that we hit yesterday, then we're not just going to touch it and go back up. We're going to go significantly lower.
Significantly lower. Yeah, absolutely. And the way that we got to here, even on a name like NVIDIA, to me, obviously hedged. It's just a slow bleed, and then active hedges coming in the last few days, and those hedges actively coming off today. Then the next phase of this process is net new longs coming in, not just shorts covering, but new money coming in long, which looks like higher highs off of these lows, just like that. That's when they get this all clear sign. And it's at this 185 where a lot of hedges probably went on before. That's when you need to be more cautious, because if that happens really fast, literally catching the market off guard is just like this. That's how that happens. And so while we're on guard, it's very difficult for the market to really break down. But when we take our guards down, that's when it would be significantly worse if the market if they do actually catch people off sides. So again, why it's like it's not like, oh, this is the bottom or I'm gonna go. It's not like that. It's like, cool, maybe we're done for right now, and then we'll see. We'll basically retest resistance in this market. I do expect resistance to hold, and so resistance 185 on NVIDIA, resistance 170 or 670 to 675 on SPY. We're in a downtrend. That's what's true. We're still in a downtrend. This is very much a counter trend bounce. Again, it's a bigger counter trend bounce, mostly just because we had a bigger flush out. And so even if I were to do this trend line thing, it literally is going to line up to about there, where at which point you would have a fake out like this. What you don't want to see is that. That is where acceleration happens, just like that. So like if we get up to that 670 and then we lose 652 again, it's over. If that's what's happening, not over, but like that's when it's like, okay, we are going to come down and we're probably going to break these lows, but we're not in that process right now in terms of the phase of how a bottom is created, or how a breakdown is created. We have to go higher. We have to go higher. For the thing about, in the simplest terms, the current bears could not push it down any lower. So we have to go higher at minimum for more bears to come in, because they're not coming in right here.
Agreed. No, that makes a lot of sense. Meta.
Meta, dude, I had a lot of people. This is so Meta.
Can we get the timer?
Yeah, Meta's one where like I had a lot of messages about many messages about like people having short 580 puts, deep red potentially getting assigned. If you're selling put premium, you can roll, but don't. My caution in general is to not sell puts if you're not hoping to get put the stock in full, like the full quantity of the puts that you sold. Just be really careful, because this is not normal. This is not abnormal. We broke our breakdown level on Meta is 585. I think that we know. Right now we are at like 520 support, which is the low end of this volume. It's the midpoint of this next support level. It's not even the big one. Technically higher low, we should see 585. If you didn't want to get put your Meta shares at 580, you should probably take it down there. I mean, or if you really did want to keep them, then keep them and hope to get put the stock, and then start selling some covered calls and wheel it. That's legit what you should do. But there's the reason this went down the way it did is a fundamental. It's more fundamental than technicals. I mean, the technicals aligned like a crystal clean 585 break, and I think I posted it. The closer that we get to 585 and retest that, I mean, I'm not sure about Meta here, quite frankly, because like if they do get to 585, it's almost like, it's not almost like, it's as if the market's looking completely past the court case, and I'm not up to date on it. And so that would be more concerning than not, because like if the market had this concern here to do this to Meta, and again, I'm not following it, so I don't really know what has changed between now and then. What has anything changed between now and
that's why today was same with Nebius, right? Like nothing changed in any of their fundamental stories, but they both rallied today, which makes me think the sell-off over the past couple of days was a bit more exaggerated, even though there was a headline like Bernie Sanders, or for Meta, the child stuff.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're getting back to normal here to an extent.
Yeah. I mean, what we can say is that, look, this is fear of the unknown. The market hates uncertainty. And in my streams on Mondays, yesterday, I was basically walking through the difference between capitulation and an orderly sell-off, and I'm using Meta as a perfect example compared to SPY on those same days. So like Meta, in this moment, capitulation looks like not only are there no active buyers in sight, but every time it goes down faster and faster. What this is active sellers. Not only are there no buyers, but they're actively selling, actively shorting the stock in strength as it's going. That's capitulation. So so just know that that's what all the way down until we get a headline and all of a sudden something changes. That's what's weird to me about this one. But it is what it is. And here, this, as we go, like this is active, like short covering. So I think we'll see if this is just a second test of resistance. Again, we are in a downtrend still, so I do expect resistance to hold. Also in a downtrend, I don't necessarily expect support to hold. So like in my stream, people were asking me like, where's the low? Where's the low? Dude, I'm more confident telling you where resistance is at, let's say, SPY 675s-ish than telling you where support is. Because if we are, in fact, in a downtrend, I do expect support to break as opposed to an uptrend market. And typically, if I'm going to take something long, I'd want to see either like a clear short squeeze like we have, which is just a trade, or like a bull, or some kind of rounding base like that. And so if Meta were to do something like this, that's more healthy. This is not necessarily healthy. This is more reactionary. So I don't know about Meta. But that's what I would expect. I would expect 585 to 595 to actually, which was prior support once, twice, to act as resistance. So if you're short some puts and you didn't want the stock, it's probably we call this a lifeline in trading, where like if you held on too long, like your stop loss, you know what stop loss is? He's like, what's a stop loss? If my level of logic was wrong for a trade breaks, but I forget to close it, happens to people all the time. A lifeline is like you've fallen off the boat, right? And then somebody throws you a life preserver or a lifeline. It's like basically comes back nearly to where you had it before. Not quite, just slightly less than. It's just up to you to grab the life preserver and save your life, because we don't know. But that's the concept of a lifeline.
Okay, so let's do Microsoft. And I think we came up with a new segment for the show, Jason. Every 10 tickers, I'm just going to pull up the tweets and see where people are watching from. We got Jeff with his setup for Technical Tuesday. Look at that. We got Tariq, never miss a Technical Tuesday.
I'm reposting these. That's hot.
You got to repost them. This is great. And then we got our boy Andy, currently right now watching from my home office in Long Island. Look at that home office, dude.
Dude,
nice knickknacks right there. Look at that. That's awesome. All right, so every 10 stocks, we'll take like a 2-minute break and we'll look at where.
That's very cool. See, the community is freaking amazing, man. Like, where do you get this? And like, I had questions about like, why do we do this? If you guys didn't know, being a professional trader or an investor is literally the most lonely profession that you could actually choose. And so it's you guys that make it possible. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's like, I would have, without you guys, I would be in a dark room with my hoodie on. Like, I don't know. It would be bad.
No, I agree. And that's why it makes it a lot more enjoyable to be with the community. Microsoft, I'm curious.
So I had 330s. I had 330s as a support. It was a DCA, small. Again, all this stuff is DCA with a portion of the cash that I raised being short. I still have a lot of cash, and I'm trying to build some more cash just in case.
Timer.
But I had 530 or 330. It doesn't, didn't necessarily get there. But again, my sentiment on Microsoft all year has been like, this is probably one that typically doesn't give you exactly what you want. This is very far off the lows. I would say that this probably wasn't the smartest dollar cost average, quite frankly. It was just like one that I don't have a lot of, and I'm just trying to start building this again. So I do think that Microsoft is going to be long-term perfectly fine. And like, if I again, I'm not going to pick the bottom, but if I start to DCA, I think it was like below 415, right? A little bit in here. If I get a little bit down here, this is 400, 460. That's a pretty big discount. It's a decent discount. I'm very open to larger discounts. 333 is a typical, is a good retracement. It's a good retracement. Moving forward, Microsoft specifically needs to get over 385. If Microsoft can get over 385, we're very likely going to get back over all the main simple moving averages. So we're still below the 200 week simple moving average, which is this purple line here on my screen, which we don't usually, doesn't come into play that often. This is a daily. Okay, I might have said that wrong. This is an interesting. I just noticed this right now. You probably cannot see this on my screen. Let me bring everyone's favorite indicator out called RSI, since I know you guys use this so much.
This is the only thing that matters, to be honest.
Stop it. RSI, by the way, if the guys watching that I didn't accidentally, but like, you know, it's my
Jason got into Twitter beef yesterday. There's technical finance Twitter, and Jason got into beef. Yeah, it's okay. We all get into beef
because like there's so many people coming out of the woodworks lately that are just posting all this craziness, and I'm like, you guys know this is just one of my pet peeves. The guy had a post. I didn't even disagree with the post. It was just that I disagreed with the way that he was presenting it, as if like this level of oversold on the index was going to produce the bottom. And it wasn't, he didn't say the bottom, he said a bottom. And I was like, but all of the explanation was not accurate. But I don't actually see what I was going to see on the other one. So I thought I was going to see more here. All right. So
you still like Microsoft. That's the conclusion here.
Yeah, I had a little divergence, bullish divergence showing up on another indicator on a stochastic, but not on this one. Yeah. So anyways, RSI, if you're going to use this, and so I'd say 385, you trigger another, I probably wouldn't even say short squeeze on Microsoft. I would say at over 385, you're going to see probably new money long come in actively, at least to like 415. And this one does have a big bounce available. But since I'm on this, and since so many people use RSI, the way that you're supposed to use RSI, since it is a momentum indicator, and you want to put a line at 50. So oversold only means that you get a breather. That's all this means. See how this is at the bottom here. This is staying under 50. Here's the 50. This is all under 50. This is the momentum that it's reading, trend. So it's a trend indicator, and it's showing you that when it's below 50 right here, your trend is down. That's right there. And that is exactly the moment where Microsoft starts to go down. If it's over 65, which is the reading that we would actually look for, up here, if this daily RSI gets over 65, it doesn't matter if it's overbought. I'll show you this in a second. This is how RSI should be used, is that you start trending here. That's when you know you're in the clear. So from SPY's perspective or whatever, it's very possible. And the caution here is that you go from oversold, which we were at the index, to the 50 level on RSI, and then continue to stay in that downtrend. That's what the concern is. RSI should actually, in this instance, be able to tell you very quickly. But just to cap off on this overbought situation, this is overbought, right? This stock is very overbought for a while. You guys always know. It became overbought at 440, stayed overbought, went to 550, That's $100. Overbought, oversold doesn't mean much. It just means that it's very strong in the trend that it's in. What means a lot when it comes to RSI is if it's above or below, kind of like that 50 line. So just caution when you're using that. That's how that should be used. All right, moving on.
Let's do Tesla, but Nike, folks, is down 5% at a 10-year low after hours.
Why can't
Dude, Bill Ackman freaking got the hell out at the right time, I guess. 2016 levels on Nike.
It's so bad.
2015 levels on Nike.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's below. It's below barely. I can't even find it on my chart.
50.84, I think is wow.
Yeah, we are back in 20s. Yeah, 10-year low. There it is. So this is what I'm saying. Like, this is support. Perfect example here. This, without question, technically support. It's very obvious here. Massive breakout in the past. But because of the market, like where we are, if your stock is weak, I kind of expect support to end up breaking.
Yeah. And this
that's
macro,
why,
right? Yeah.
It is what it is.
Being able to defend support when regular stocks are not able to do that, and they're growing earnings, unlike Nike. It's crazy, right? Microsoft's growing earnings 20%, and they can't get above moving averages. Nike is down 35% year over year on earnings.
Yeah. So, oh God. I don't even want to say that out loud. It can stop here and bounce up to 66, but while I don't expect support to hold, I do expect resistance to hold, and there's your resistance, even if you get a bounce. And that's this literally, look at that is resistance holding here. Like, that's exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Tesla, not short Tesla anymore.
You still have your calls though, right? You're in the money leaps.
Yeah, but I had active shorts on, and I reloaded active shorts, and then I closed those also today. I had been closing those here, but 356 right here was that basic pullback. We got there. We can come back, retest resistance again in the 400s. The thing about Tesla, it's not that like we have EV deliveries coming this week. I think tomorrow, right?
Guys, is it tomorrow? Do we have deliveries tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got hit timer. Okay, so that's a catalyst, right? Then
yeah,
tomorrow.
Well, and so I also don't think if I were to take this trade, it could be nothing more than a guess, and I'm not into guessing. Thursday, so like right now, the market could be expecting maybe the market. I don't think is expecting good deliveries, and so if there are good deliveries across the board, it's probably going to be a catalyst to flip this stock back up to 415. But I would just be guessing if I said that. Right now, all I can say is that it did not continue to go below my 356 level. And so now I expect it to go back up to resistance, at which point I do expect resistance to hold. And that was about just under 400, like over here. So the next lower area of resistance is I expect it to be where that last breakdown was. It could be as high as or low as 380. So in this area, I definitely expect at least chopped, and then we'll see. What I really want to see, what healthy would look like is like a prolonged time of going kind of sideways like that and slowly peeking its head over 415. And at this point, that's when I'll know, okay, we're good to go. But it has been and always will remain 415 on La Tesla for the like explosive pivot.
Pounder.
This one, how are you feeling about this? I'm a little So last week I said what I said, which is, what did I say? I said that I said that we were here, and we were in a tough spot on Palantir, and that regardless of what camp I was in, whether I was going to be a bull or whether I was going to be a bear, at 160, I wanted it to go down to 140. And that's what we had happen. And I wanted to go down to 140 as a bull, and then I'd want 140 to act as support, which is oddly what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And as a bear, see, like, if this, the weird spot here is if the war, whatever, I don't know, if we lose 130s or these relative lows, it's more cautionary for sure. Let me just take some of this down for just a minute. And then this one I still think is like, it's a tough call because it can begin to look pretty bad. I also had about 138 as a basic pivot here. This is at 160, a lower high, and you have, the makings of your whatever. This is your neckline, literally right here. Two things are true. It's a bearish pattern, but failed patterns are the most bullish setups. I'm just gonna say that, right? But this pattern doesn't fail unless you're over that 165. So I still expect this to be resistance overhead until proven otherwise because of the market we're in. If you're coming back in like this, you're going to have the same thing kind of repeated. And I would be way more cautious. So what we have to see out of Palantir to continue back up and to actually squeeze the bears is legitimate breach of 165. And if we see that legit, there's probably a crazy probably a squeeze, but it's not happening yet. Where that's like
even Burry tweeted today, shorts are not forever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder if he's thinking, all right, the damage has been done from the Iran war, we get a pivot, and he doesn't want to seem like an idiot if the S&P goes to 7,500.
Yeah, this is why it's very important that we continue on from today across the board. If we don't continue on, that's fine. We can revisit today's like midpoints, but I don't. If we're making new lows beyond today, we have a lot more work to do, and I'm probably going to rehedge a lot of stuff. I'm not there yet. I think that bears are greedy, and they want it to go higher anyways. And that's kind of my sentiment. But if it doesn't, look, this is the first attempt that they might have to catch some people off sides. Also true, myself included. We'll know tonight, right? About 6.
Yep. Robin
it. Also not relatively strong. It did hit a level 62. Wasn't one of my levels. I mean, we kind of walked through it. If this is over 80, I think it's definitely better, but I'm still cautious here compared to some other names and stuff that I'm looking at. Again, what I really want to see is I want to see more. When I pick stocks to buy from here moving forward, it's very much about how strong they held up during this drawdown and how strong they act after, like the bounces, during the bounces. So I'm not seeing that on Robinhood. I don't hate it, but for that reason and that reason alone, I'm not adding here or really doing anything. There are stocks that I bought today that are probably just not normal stocks, but that I saw like massive relative strength with that same concept that I'm like, dude, it's just as much as I want Robinhood to be the one right now, I don't know that it's the one here now. We just broke down under 70, so at least we need to get back over 70 minimum.
The March data came out yesterday too, and it wasn't that good. I mean, it was very.
At least that's behind us.
Yeah. So I mean,
it wasn't horrible.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't explosive growth, and I have to. It's going to take me a couple days to do all the numbers in my model and see what I don't know if they're going to get to 30% growth next quarter. So like less than 30% growth is just not super enticing right now. So I agree with you. Long term, probably a great
yeah, no problem.
But yeah, no problem. But like short term, could this go back to 60 on a bad earnings? Yeah, like I don't think that's hard.
It could, it could breach 60. We could have a 4 handle in front of it. I mean, the markets does whatever the market wants to. But I have it. I'm good. I bought higher. I bought significantly lower. I have a little hedge on this still because it's too big of a position not to. But that's where I am on Robinhood.
RKLB.
This is probably an example of relative strength. So probably a very good example of relative strength. So this is one that I would absolutely watch. So during the breakdown, a lot of stocks were not that bad. I mean, this peaked a little bit earlier, but again, very strong support around 69. 59, I think that's actually my measured low from this low to this high. It hasn't broken. It's major 200-day, whatever, not that matters. Again, best case scenario is that this does a little chopping action and starts to get back over 72, at which point it's probably in the clear. But to be fair, this absolutely has relative strength right now. So it would also be one that I would totally put on watch for of the stocks that I'm going to buy right now. As much as I want to say Robinhood, I didn't see it today. So like you see RKLB, 12%, S&P 2%, 2.5%. That's relative strength.
Do you think the strength is reasonable enough to buy into here, or?
I don't. I mean, that's a whole nother question of like if this is a stock that you want to pick. One day doesn't make a trend. We need to see multiple days of the same kind of thing. So again, this is people think, oh, you're able to pick the bottom or see the bottom. I'm not buying the bottom. I'm not even planning on buying the bottom. I'm actually planning on being short towards the lows. And for me as a trader, as a trend following trader, I need to plan on taking profit on those shorts as we go. I can't let them get too big. Just like yesterday, whatever, take profits when we're like super green. It's what you need to do. And then reassess. And what I'm looking for is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking for that kind of like rounding formation that's healthy. I don't want to jump into like a screaming, whatever candle. As a trader, I can, but not as someone who's looking for anything sustained, because we're not out of the woods yet. But my point of this, what kind of stocks I'm going to be looking for, super important. You look at coming out of I didn't hit play. Coming out of the pandemic, same thing. Like software was way stronger than any other sector before. They bottomed before everything else. The index was still going down, and Zoom and Amazon were going up. And those are also the same stocks that went the highest out of COVID lows. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Microsoft, same thing, was the smallest of the Mag 7 drawdowns. It was a drawdown, but it wasn't anything close to anybody else. Like of the Mag 7s right now, I can look at Apple, believe it or not, and I can look at Amazon right now. Google, I would probably steer clear of just a little bit, just because it has the lawsuit stuff. But dude, this your pick of the year. Your pick of the year is never broke down. Like it still has yet. It has not broke down. And I think Amit actually said he doubled down, you guys, on the Apple pick because he wants this new flip phone that he heard was coming. And I'm like, it makes sense. So like, I don't hate Apple at all. But
can we do Amazon? I'm sure a lot more people are curious about that one.
I mean, Amazon, the one cautious tone I have in my mind about Amazon is it is the one Mag 7 that missed. It is the one Mag 7 that did not outperform on earnings, and it missed their own guidance. So Well, also, it didn't break down this whole time. Even NVIDIA broke down. Amazon didn't break down. It just
was below 200 not a breakdown for you?
No. Breakdown means a new low from the more recent low. So like most recent low 196 right here. That's February, just last month. It didn't even make it March. The month of March was not lower than the month of February. So this is the candle. You're not extending. So if it goes below 196, that is a breakdown on Amazon. And I should expect 180s. But I didn't even see that. This is a monthly chart. Sorry. But that's for that reason, we call this an inside month, meaning that this candle of this month is inside of last month's candle. We have not gone any lower on Amazon. So it hasn't broken down. Over 220, that's resistance. That's this month's high. If we're trending over 220 next month, yeah, it's gonna be relatively strong. But it's 210 right now. So there's a lot of time between now and then. If you're a trader and/or investor, I think patience is a good thing to have here. But I just gave you the level. 220 is if we're over 220, we're very likely going back to the highs and squeezing in that situation, assuming that we don't have a headline. We will be on the trajectory to go back towards the highs, assuming that Trump doesn't decide that he doesn't want us to go back to the highs. Which is the market that we're in right now.
SOFI.
SOFI. Did it hit R14? Oh, it had
for a little bit.
Not quite.
It
Very
did.
close.
It touched
14 and change.
Oh,
that's
it didn't literally hit 14. It didn't.
That's real close though. Check this out. I don't hate this at all. But so this, I just threw a straight line across. Here's the gap down, 14.95. I had below 14, just barely below 14. Your point of control is 16 for this upper consolidation, which means that you want SOFI to get over 16. That's the next level. So that's going to be your resistance, just under 15, 15.95. In this situation, I would expect SOFI to get there, but I would also expect that to hold as resistance near term. And then son of a biscuit. We're literally opened there. Like, or we closed right on it. Shit. Okay. So now this has to go a little bit higher. So like I would want to see this. And if the 20-day can kind of come in like that, then there's going to be a 50-day up here. You can get a squeeze into the 19s and retest that prior resistance area from up here. At which point I would expect resistance to hold and see a little bit more chop. So it's a multi-step process to form a bottom. We're at step one. It's again, one day doesn't make a trend. And again, like also like, dude, we have a lot of hedges out there. I think we at least get a couple days of this, dude. That would be so sad if this is it. It'd be too quick.
Too quick of a dip buy, you're saying?
Too quick of a recovery. Like if things really recover, like if all of a sudden SOFI is like $24 in 2 weeks time, I would seriously question that.
Right.
And I would probably be selling like aggressive cover calls, but you know, as good as it would feel, you know, at 24, I think is going to be your resistance anyways. One of the, like, that's the highest level of resistance, which is a good trade if it can continue on.
Right. Okay, let's do CoreWeave next. But before I get there, quick little break. Couple things. First of all, guys, we're not going to watch Trump live. He's signing an executive order about mail-in ballots and voting. None of us care about that until we get to Q&A. So we'll get to whenever we get to his Q&A, and hopefully he talks about the Iran stuff. We'll get more comments. Nike's getting hit harder because they expect to have elevated inventory towards the end of the year. It's now down 7% below 50. CFO said that on the call. That's why Nike is getting hit. And let's run through the screenshots here. I did not know these many people.
Oh, we got more?
Be doing this. We
got
have
another
a lot
20.
more. We have a lot more. So you got Sammy Trades watching in the college library.
Yes.
I remember being in college. So there you go. Thank you for watching, sir. You have X Money News in a dark room watching as well. You have, look at this setup from Israel, Danielle. 3 screens. I like it. You have, this shit is crazy. Goulaher. That's pretty crazy. I've seen Jason's setup. It looks a little similar to Jason's. He has a little bit more screens, but
I changed the setup, but yeah, I used to have 6.
Yeah, I need something like that. Then you have Ollie, late night technical Tuesday before bed. Look at those legs, bro. Those calves. He definitely hits leg day. There you go. Watch as well. Then you have Wick tuning into technical Tuesday. Love it. You have JT Baker watching some It's so cool to see where people are watching from.
Dude.
You have Lagood watching us. And then you have Keeks from Dubai at 1 a.m. PS, with every single missile alert I get, I think about my positions more than my safety. Does that mean I might be too invested?
Oh, that's hilarious. I think you have more tags than I do. Are there some? If they're not tagged, I can't repost if I don't see them, but I think I'm getting to most, or they're still coming in.
Yeah, I think I had one that tagged me and not. Most of them are tagging both of us, so you'll be able to retweet.
Nice.
Decent chunk of them. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Every couple stocks, we'll stop and take a look at these.
I love this community, man.
Just because I say someone hits leg day is not gay. How is that? Like, why? Like,
You have to say no homo after.
No, it's just a compliment.
If you really don't want it to be. That's the rule, right? When we were kids in high school.
All right, CoreWeave, what are you thinking?
That's a lot of tests of the low, 67. I thought CoreWeave would have broken. I really would have thought that it broken. So at one point, we're like, before GTC, we're like, this is probably like one of the obvious buys, because you told me it was. You're like, there's no shot Jensen doesn't mention CoreWeave. It goes $70 to just about 90, which is slightly lower than I had for targets. I don't know. Like, somehow this is holding. I don't know if it's expensive or not. But this IPO high, which is what this is, it's this is the first high of trade post IPO. So IPO low is like 36. It's not the actual IPO. It's like the first movement from when it started trading. It's being defended. What's weird is, like, it can only get defended so many times. But let me just take all my lines and stuff off for just a minute. Well, these are good lines to see long term, but if I'm looking at this, I don't know, like, this has got a lot of work to do. So, like, this whole area, I would really want to see this kind of situation where, like, it's coming out and creating that base, and it's probably not going to be till it's back over 100 that I'm like, yeah, this is ready to roll. So, like,
Right.
And it's so wild to say that that's what I'm seeing. It's just what it is. In the near term, we do have, like, I mean, was it ever worth 180? I don't know. We do have lower highs, but now we have equal lows, which sets up for a consolidation. I have a couple lines on here, but I'll just do a squiggle, which is usually what we see. So you're going to get tighter and tighter and tighter until you get probably post earnings or right around earnings. And around that time, maybe 2 weeks to earnings, you might get something like this. Again, it's that $100 level that might signal us. If I get here and then you get a breakdown like that, this is the setup that would actually break support. But between now and then, I don't think it's going to break support without any specific CoreWeave catalyst. Around 95, still is the upside high in this market. Probably not trying to, I'm not trying to take calls at resistance. I expect resistance to hold. So I would take some kind of protective puts, especially on something like CoreWeave. I have to assume that these are cheap options now. 137 days at the exact same price. They got to be pretty cheap for protection, but it's a, you know, it's hard to do. I mean, it's high implied volatility. I don't even have historic vol on my TOS yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, they got that $8.5 billion loan today to expand their AI cloud platform. It feels like, and that was backed by Meta as well. The problem is like the debt on that balance sheet, even with the 70 billion in RPO, I don't know. It wasn't an issue when it was at 150 not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
So like, why an issue now? I don't know, but it's in a tough spot.
Yeah, if it's over like 78, then it should be on its trajectory to at least 85. But it's toying with that special level. I think it's got to have sustained movement over that at least 85. Then we're gonna have a clean shot to 97, and then we'll see from there. It almost got to 120. It did the 70 to 120 once. It did the 70, but it went to 103 and failed back to 70. So this is the box that it lives in.
Yep. All right, last one for the large caps, and then we'll get into the audience requests. AMD. Nike is down 12% or 8% after hours, 12-year low. It's ugly for Nike.
I'm very torn on AMD. So of the semis, if AMD was going to break down, it actually should have broken down in these last couple of days, like in strength. It legitimately should have cracked. Like, and I was ready for it to crack, especially off this 220 high. Because you guys know we've been talking about this 227, which is way over here for a while. Of the semis, you're gonna think this is weird. I feel like AMD has more relative strength than NVIDIA. Like, because it also didn't make new lows for the month when NVIDIA did for the month. So that's kind of weird to me. So it's a watch. Maybe you get to 227 again, but still at 227, that remains resist. It's even a little bit lower because you have this headline low and then which is lower high. Then you have another lower high. It's at best in consolidation. A breakdown here is at least to 170. And then we go back to 150-ish levels, which at that point right in here, between 170 and 150, that is a typical retracement from the lows to the highs, but we're not there yet. It's still trying to and like, again, this is like when I look at a stock, what does good look like? If it can get through and then actually crack through to 27, we're not there yet, but technically speaking, all I can say is that it is relatively stronger than NVIDIA right now. Wild. Why? I don't know. But it is what it is. It's a consolidation though. So we have to see. It never broke down.
Okay. Let's get into the audience requests. If you have a ticker, you can put in the chat. Please do not spam it. We will try to get into all of them. We can put a minute 30 on the clock, Jason. Actually, hold on. Before we do audience requests, we should do this for 5 minutes. Bitcoin. We should probably do that.
Did you mean digital gold or physical gold?
Well, we should do both.
We should do both.
And while you do something real quick, I'll be right back. But we'll do gold and Bitcoin, and then we'll get into the audience request.
We're doing two. I'll just let this go till he comes back. But so Biddy, I think I said 50, low 50s or something. If this sold off, this is the prior support. Let me pull this back to a little bit larger drawdown. You know, it's hard to say this when we're at the highs, but if this is if this is a cycle low, historically the lows are between 70 and 80% drawdown, typically, which would put a floor on Bitcoin around 25 to 40K, give or take. 70,838 is that measured from that very, very low of the last cycle, way down there, 15 or something, up to the 126 highs. At 70K, this is what we call like that golden zone right in here. It's general support, but you expect it to kind of bounce between here and just about 57, which is really close to what we got before. It's not like horrible. If you like it long term, that's fine. You could probably nibble at it definitely if you see it sub 60, but this is not strong right now. 2021 all-time high 69,000. Again, this is not relative strength, and I think this is such an important concept. On a day like today, if something's going to be strong coming out, I think it's very important that the stock showed strength today and it continues to show strength moving forward. Unfortunately, it's not what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. It's one day, we'll see, but this is not ready. If it does go over like 71s, it would initiate a bit of a squeeze, probably to, I think I've been talking about this 80, 90K level for a while. It's just holding right now. So it also didn't, what is this, February lows? It didn't make new lows. So it's just very much sideways, nearly unaffected in the last few days of a sell-off. So I don't think that would be any major difference. Someone asked for gold. I don't know if you meant GLD or gold specifically in the chat, but I think this is actually a bit of a I wouldn't say canary in the coal mine. Gold itself up 3.79% today, with the index SPY up 2.5, relatively stronger than SPY. Like, this is the stuff that's like this is very much outperforming long term or more recently. If something like this does this while we're recovering, I would actually start to expect this to continue. I would expect this to continue to outperform if this is the near term low. Like if S&P gets back to all-time highs, then something like gold should probably make new relative highs at the same time. And that's kind of my point. So it came off quite a bit, but even Micron has taken a bigger hit from 500, I think so, to whatever, 400. Oddly, these are the ones that caught my eye. The commodity trade, FCX, silver, same thing. Big rally today, back into the range. So if these things can continue to hold, I did actually buy FCX today, just going on a little bit of a tangent. Again, relative strong. You guys know I've liked FCX. Yes, I know it's expensive. I know all of that, but relative strength coming in. And if I'm going to see relative strength coming out, the whole thesis of this multi-year, like long-term, whatever, expensive or not, that right here, right, like literally right then would have been a spot that I'd be like, oh, okay, we can continue to hold this a weekly here. And if we can get back through that 70 level on FCX, then that whole thesis of this being a copper trade, it's on. Because it also never broke. It's just a retest of that prior consolidation right over here. So I did buy FCX, but for the same logic of someone asking for gold, looking around immediately during the bounces, silver was the first thing, oddly, that caught my eye. But anyways, this was like a knee-jerk buy, like boom. I mean, 7.5% on a copper miner, like, okay.
Yeah, CopX was up today as well. So the commodities did get some love. All right, so let's get into audience requests. We'll do a minute 30 on the clock. Again, if you are not following Jason, I'm linking his X and YouTube. Please make sure to follow him. His Discord is free to join as well. You can find it in the links in his bio on X, and you can become more part of his community.
Which is the best community ever. In addition to mostly a lot of Mick doesn't, he still has a lot of user errors on Discord, and he still hasn't learned how to change the notifications. And I realize Discord's probably not the most user friendly. So we'll work on that for sure.
Okay, let's do first one. Let's start it off with IREN. We'll start with the NeoClouds. And by the way, guys, for Trump,
right in the dump.
Yeah, we'll get his quotes. We don't really need to watch him talk. We'll get his quotes. If there's anything important, I'll tell you guys, but there's no point of literally watching.
Are you spending money? You're actually going to do that?
No, if we get an important quote about Iran, we'll listen to it, but
oh, Trump.
Yeah, Trump. That's what
yeah. It'll be interesting. Whatever he says.
What were you thinking? I said.
I thought you said you were going to clip some stuff, so I was like, "You're quotes." So this was the lows right here, measured. I think we talked about this. This was not ready to go unless it was over 45. We've said this multiple times. This is why we wait and don't anticipate. Literally, perfect example of why we wait and don't anticipate. It looked good until it didn't, and then you're like, "Oh shit." Here now, it is support again. I expect lower resistance now. And I expect it to hold around like 42s, but $30, I think was a level that I had here. I'm not ready to say this is good to go, but if it does hold this, you should be able to have a quick bounce up to counter trend up to 38s. You'd want to probably cut that just before 40, or at least put some protection on, because this was this is the beginnings of an uglier breakdown. Again, very cautious, not an uptrend market. But if this went any lower like that, like that's not going to be fun. I don't know what it would take for that to happen, but you don't really want to get caught in a situation that just catching a falling knife. So we need to see, again, I would like to see these kind of more rounding amidst favorite bottom and then kind of get through. But as you get into resistance, I still expect it to hold at resistance. All right, next.
I'm seeing a lot of Mercado Libres. I don't know why, but
okay,
let's do MELI.
MELI.
Yeah.
MELI.
I know it's in a bad drawdown, but it seems like people are really excited about
this. It's again at the 200 week. I don't think you get, like, we have gotten multiple shots on. I remember, this was probably 3 years ago. Just now over the 30. I got to zoom out a lot on this bad boy. Let me assess the situation here. So double top over there. Cool. Here's recent or like relative lows 2022 to highs. Boom, 50%. That's like perfect. I'm going to grab one more thing here. Where range profile of the highs. I have confluence. I have a couple levels of confluence 15s, just low 15s. MELI's not a trader. I think it's more of an investment. So this is also Brazil, South America. It's a good DCA spot. This can go down to 13s, mid to low 13s if it doesn't continue right away. But this is actually what I was looking for. So like these are the kind of things where even if it pulls back and it starts to hold, it's going to create exactly what I was talking about. So like simplest terms, I think I said it on my channel, bulls. If you see like bulls on charts, that's bullish, and umbrellas are bearish. Umbrella being like, this is really like really big umbrella. Well, I see it on NVIDIA, but if it creates that kind of rounding base, it's probably bullish. NVIDIA is more like the umbrella. Where you look at this and you're like, ooh, we shall see umbrella. Like, that's pretty easy, right? You can draw an umbrella. No, but yeah, that's MELI.
Okay, let's take a
Potentially starting to be bullish to bearish to bullish. At least that's a pit stop, definite pit stop. It can go lower, but if you like to DCA and hold, it's a good spot.
Okay, let's take a quick detour.
Yeah.
Trump is talking about Iran, and then we'll get right back into all this stuff.
It's not necessary to put up a ballroom. And many things have been built on the site, they've never gotten congressional approval. And especially when the money is all put up, this is all donations by people that.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. And they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record because they know two things. Number one, we have a safe country. We had to take a little detour because we had a madman named Khomeini, who sadly is no longer with us. And we had regime change already. We've knocked out one regime, then we knocked out the second regime. Now we have a group of people that are very different. They're much more reasonable. I think much less radicalized. We've had regime change. We're dealing with people that are much more rational, and it's amazing what we've done. We had to make a little detour. So when the stock market broke all records just a few weeks ago, when it hit 50,000 on the Dow, 7,000 on the S&P, I said to the American people, it's time that we have make a little detour because we have a madman that wants a nuclear weapon. And if we didn't knock him out with a B-2 bomber, we would have a nuclear weapon right now. It would have been used before today. And you may not be standing there asking that question, okay? So I think we have a country that understands that. I see CNN did a poll and they talked about voters or MAGA voters, and my poll came out at 100%. Nobody covers that poll. They had another poll where it's at 92% approval. I think that the people understand it. We'll be leaving very soon. And if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that. What happens in the strait, we're not going to have anything to do with, because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it. We hit them hard. We got rid of a lot of the radicalized lunatics along the strait. But if they want something, but I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3, we're hitting them very hard. Last night, we knocked out tremendous amounts of missile-making facilities. As you probably read or wrote, we knocked out, excuse me?
Pardon interrupting. The U.S. will be gone or done with the war?
I think we're 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
We'll
3
leave
weeks,
because
then it will
there's
be
no
past
reason
the
for us to do this. Look, problem with the strait, a guy can take a mine, drop it in the water, and say, oh, it's unsafe. It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country, or they can drop it. Or you can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France. That'll be for whoever's using the strait. But I think when we leave, probably that's all cleared up. Today, I heard tremendous numbers of ships were sailing through. We're negotiating with them right now. We have had regime change. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons, but we're finishing the job. And I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job. But we want to knock out every single thing they have. Now, it's possible that we'll make a deal before that, because we'll hit bridges, and we've hit some. We'll hit some bridges. We've got a couple of nice bridges in mind. But if they come to the table, that'll be good. But it doesn't matter whether they come or not. We've set them back. It'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them. They have no Navy. They have no military. They have no Air Force. They have no telecommunications. They have no anti-aircraft systems. They have no leaders. Their leaders are all gone. That's why we have regime change. We have nice new leaders. Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. You talked about how the ballroom needs to have a drone-proof roof.
Right.
Okay, that was pretty much the most I think we're going to get from that. So Trump says gas prices will go down as soon as we leave. We will be leaving soon. Stock prices were up today. And then he says 2 to 3 weeks left, which is longer than the 4-week deadline they initially gave. But Market's not really reacting that in a negative way today.
We got a bunch of tags too though. You got to go through them.
Yeah, we'll go through the tags. Well, S&P, yeah, it's nothing. It's down 30 cents after hours. So
I actually, I don't even have I don't have a future subscription here, so don't worry. Yeah, you'll have it more live than I will.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the same stuff Trump said in the morning, so I don't think there's anything that different. But hopefully he's serious about leaving, because if he's not, this is going to fade out. If he is, then maybe we'll still hold up onto the screen. They said 4 to 6 weeks. Well, it's been 4 weeks, which means he just said 2 to 3, which means the 6 became a 7, because 4 plus 3 is 7. So if it's, but then after that, he said it might be done in a couple of days, right? So I think he's kind of just throwing out numbers.
Is it a thing to taco the taco?
Dude, if we taco the taco.
Is that an established thing yet? Taco the taco?
He hasn't done that, so I guess we'll find out. All right, before we get back into it, we got ash free. Look at this setup, dude.
Dude, I'm just saying, this is the coolest thing I've experienced, like in all of the streaming that I've done. This moment is like epic. This is
look at Lynch and Buffett. I never knew Buffett said buy the effing dip. I never knew he said that. There you go. This is pretty freaking cool. Shout out to Ash Free. We have Mike. Shout out to Mike. We have Lazlor. He met us on Saturday, so he was there at the LA meetup. Love it.
Dude.
And then Wizzle.
Wizzle. What a handle.
I love it. People have really good setups, dude. I don't know people have this sophisticated of a setup, but it's amazing.
Yeah, everybody's trading. I mean, for Technical Tuesday,
everyone's trading.
Correct. They're in.
All right, let's get back to it. Let's do Reddit. What are you thinking?
I didn't like Reddit. I think I had 120. If you like Reddit, go for it. If you like Reddit, go for it. I would be a little concerned about does Reddit have like exposure to this the thing that's hurting Meta? Or no? Like the legal, like they're liable. You're muted. The guy's muted.
Sorry, I said no, but if the lawsuits can affect Meta, I wonder if they could affect Reddit. But
that would be my only concern. She held the critical line, 120, just barely. I mean, 119.64, barely. Reddit is a very squeezy stock. This is usually how it begins. Right here, this is like a fair value gap, 119.64. If Reddit is going to squeeze, it would squeeze. The way that it begins is literally just like this. So you have your relative lows, 128, a breach of that right there, but holding critical support right back in. If you start to get the bowl, like once you get the little bowl up, it's going to trigger at 155. She's going to squeeze like a madman above 155. So here now, and I said, if you like it, you can trade into this as a trade with a stop at 125 is what I would do.
Okay. Oracle.
You like Oracle. I'm not a big fan of Oracle, but come on, Oracle. That's all she's got today. 5%.
Dude, 5% is not bad.
I mean, at least Rocket Lab had like a 7%, 7.5%. What did Reddit have today? Reddit had,
I didn't even check Reddit.
8.5%. It's relatively not strong. But anyway, I think that concept is really important. Like you guys will laugh if I told you the biggest buy I made today. You would freaking.
No, now you got to
what?
What's the biggest buy you made today?
Well, can we finish Oracle first?
Okay, go ahead.
So you're really gonna laugh, and everybody's gonna call me crazy, but I might be. Who knows? But yeah, Oracle's holding lows again. I need to see more structure show up here. If this is over 156, yeah, you can make a move up to. The thing about all of this, we have earnings coming. Oracle doesn't report till June. Is that right? So Oracle will probably get affected by the other Mag 7s reporting their cloud business. Oracle is a pint-size, microscopic insect in the cloud space. So like it is what it is. 200-week SMA, decent area. If you like it, look, it's not going down anymore. She made a higher low today. It's probably actually okay. So you'd want to see continued strength. I bought the Pfizer, dude.
Oh, you did tell me about this.
I bought Pfizer. Look, I've had Pfizer all year. I was like thinking that this between 2026, 2027 could be another one. Through the reason that this was it, through the entire drawdown, zero drawdown on this stock. I've been burned on Pfizer before. It's not the best biotech at all. I'm not even questioning that. But there's nothing good about this. Like, there's nothing bad. Like, it's all the bad stuff is there. There's nobody's thinking that they can do anything. I'm looking at this from a technical setup. This is exactly what I've been talking about, like a big old bowl. This is a weekly chart, by the way. This is multi-year. We'll see. We'll see. I have some leaps on this guy. Zero drawdown through the entire thing. Also, by the way, what was the strongest sector today? Do you know? XBI.
Really? It was biotech?
7.5 at the sector level. This is relative strength. So this could be the sleeper sector for the year, which is maybe why IWM is holding up so well.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying this concept of like what's relatively strong right now. Yes, there's a lot of M&A going on, but look around. I've talked about Oxy. I'm up over a double now on my Oxy that is sleeper. Well, NVIDIA's gone nowhere. No offense to NVIDIA, it's a great company. But like if we're looking around and I want to see who's been strong through this entire time and who's strongest today, it's this sector right here. XBI, I think, was the best performing sector on the day. Better than SMH. Actually,
XBI is interesting because
I'm 100% on that.
XBI is like in a multi-year drawdown, so this breakout could get exciting if it.
Yeah, I mean this is what I'm saying. It's not what we're normally thinking about. It's a sleeper sector. This is different than someone's asking for UNH. Healthcare is not the same.
Yeah, not at all.
Totally different. Relative weakness again. Not making new lows, but definitely not going higher right now. I'm not breaking out.
Broadcom.
I took the flyer on Broadcom, just as a little breach of these lows back into mid support. I think this can at least get back into 316s very quickly, like tomorrow quickly. At which point I'll probably be trimming a trade from a trade perspective, if not closing entirely, and just putting a trailing stop on that. But it was of the sectors that were strongest. First was XBI, second was SMH. So if I want to see continued resilience, these are the places that I actually would be okay with. And why the shorts that I took off were primarily in that sector, very much because of that. So we should retest resistance on Broadcom, which the real resistance was like 330, where it's breaking down. Actually, I think we got our death cross like yesterday, funny enough. So all I'm looking for on Broadcom here now is just to get sucked back in, very much like NVIDIA, sucked back into that prior area here. But I saw a very cheap, low dollar risk opportunity on Broadcom to pick some up.
ASTS.
ASTS, not unlike, I have so many lines here, guys. I'm sorry. Not unlike the Lab of Rockets. I don't think I need a full minute, but we actually did breach my level slightly back into support, bounced out of support today on a like 2-day. We call this a little single candle reversal. This should be able to see 89 if we have any continuation, like very quickly, as in like tomorrow. If it doesn't continue through 90s next week, then it's not. Then it needs to come back, and it's just going to do its sit and wait thing. But if we get a continuation day on something like ASTS tomorrow, 88, 89.
EOSE.
Energy remains everything. So again, relative strength, GEV, all of the above. This one though, small cap, different story. This is potential trade that didn't go through. I was looking for resistance here, pull back into this level. It's a little bit deeper than I would have liked to see anything here. I don't know the story. This looks a little broken. It looks broken, but very much right into that real deep support. Dude, this thing hit $4.
Yeah, they messed up earnings last month badly.
Yeah, I don't know enough about this stock to have an opinion one way or the other, but energy as a whole, I'll tell you what, I didn't trim any Oxy today. I think that remains strong. I think I'm positioned well. Like I have a lot of energy and oil stuff. I've trimmed a little bit earlier, not at the highs, but lower.
Let's do VG and next then. And would you buy these even as a hedge right now?
So VG, the problem I have with VG is the market cap, because the whole idea with VG was that it could be the next Cheniere, and it's basically the same market cap of Cheniere now. So that thesis, you have to look at this and say it's complete. I had a draw. I have a pull. What is this? I have a potential pullback as low as 1173, which probably sounds wild. That might be a little bit deep here. 1173. I mean, it is what it is. That's my most recent low. So this could, if you see this around 12 and it's holding and starting to base again. So like if this comes in and does a little bit like that and then starts to break through, what is that, 1375? It's probably at least going back to 17. VG, last time we talked about it last week, I was very much in the sell some covered leaps on this one. If your target's 25, I think if you did that, you're sitting freaking pretty right now. I believe those leaps you could have sold for like $5 when we talked about this last week up here. Looks like a beautiful trade at this moment, or at least a beautiful way to sit pretty and wait and get paid to wait while protecting. At that point, it was protecting about $5 a downside, which you got a couple dollars here today. Nothing major. Next is not Nest. I think it was 7 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're again holding. Oh, we almost got there. 730s. 730 is gonna be like a super bullish hold, like right here. So next
But if the war is ending, do you think this is still worth?
Yeah. I was never in this for the war, dude. I mean, the market might think that these things, again, I've been focused on energy and this kind of stuff all year long. And it wasn't because of the war. It had nothing to do with that. So the thesis still plays. And it's just, if you're bullish on the data center build, why are we invading Iran? Whatever. Right now, it's all, I'm not going to talk there, but it's all about energy. In my mind, it's all about energy. All of it. Venezuela, Greenland, it's all energy. This is I think what actually will legitimately power the data centers. We need to have Matty on here, Matt Money, to give the full thesis. He's going to give it to you much better. But go to my channel. There was a technical Tuesday that I did with Steve on my channel like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Matt actually came on, gave the full thesis of like they're now shipping, just now starting to actually get trains out with stuff on. They're done with the build process of the story, and so it was just perfect. It was just perfect timing. You covered both of them on that.
Yeah. What was the one I was looking for? There's 2 big ones here. Oh yeah, Google. Oh, sorry. Let's do MasterCard, then Google. MasterCard and Visa, which got hit today. I'm not sure why, if anyone knows why.
Still in like the
Stable
fintech,
coins, maybe agentic stable coins.
dude. If you have like, I get the thesis, but like, okay, to say that Circle is going to be processing the agentic microtransactions, not that it's wrong, it's that you're saying that Bitcoin is going to, or that crypto is going to displace the dollar, and we're no longer going to be using US dollars to pay for things, even if it is a microtransaction, and that we're not going to have any human intervention, and we're going to let our agents run wild regardless of hallucinations. I just think we're a little bit far away from that, because we still need the, anyways. I like my MasterCard. It's very much in a downtrend. It's not even making it new. It's just barely up. But yeah, I think you can wait a little bit longer. This is, again, really not that strong comparatively to what's available out there. I mean, is it a good dollar cost average? It's okay, but it's not. I don't even have a sense that it's in the clear yet. I need to see more. I definitely need to see more out of MasterCard. But they're great companies, MasterCard and Visa. Like, you pull these charts back, like, like on a monthly, weekly. They're great stocks. Like, don't shit on MasterCard, or I'm sorry. Like, one of the best performing ones long term.
Google.
Closed my Google shorts today. We shall see. This one broke down just under 300. I think you can get there. I almost assume that you get there. And then when you get there, it's not a hedge, but like, I actually had an active short on this as we were coming out, a trade. But this one, yeah, 295 was that breakdown level right here. If this gets back up, we have a green day, it should at least get back up there. It can go all the way up to like 311, but this one is still in an active breakdown process. So because of that, because of legal issues, I would definitely be much more concerned or cautious about Google. I think I would almost rather even NVIDIA over Google right now, just because it doesn't, that's just my personal like opinion. I could be wrong.
It's cheaper too, NVIDIA right now.
Yeah. Well, so if this is trending over 311, I mean, we're probably going higher, but up to 311, that's where resistance is right now. And you got to be really cautious, as like across the board at the index level, we can't go straight up we're not going like this. The stock market's not going to do that. Like, we're not going to have a big, like, that's not what's happening, right? So we're going to take a pause somewhere. And when we pause, it will technically be a lower high after breaking the relevant lows, the recent lows. And a setup like this is why I would be, you have to be super cautious. All this is a little bit of an oversold bounce. It's not a bottom. A bottom is a process, as much as Amit might try to tell you it's a thing, it's a process. And so it takes time. And so for that reason, again, because where we are in the market, I want to see time play out before I actually can say, okay, we're in the clear.
Celsius.
Dude, I don't even want to look at this thing. Discretionary is not strong. No. It's low.
I feel like this is more Costco than anything.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it already had the bear case going on from the market's bear case before all this happened.
Yeah.
So I'm like, really? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is how it works. Like, there's already something going on, and the weak get weaker, the strong stay strong. We should probably look at AT&T and Verizon. Like, as much as I hate to say that, but yeah, I mean, it's at a level, but it's been at this level before. This is a lower high and now a lower low. If this can't get back over 38, it's a lot more waiting to go.
Okay.
I can't get excited here. I can't do it. I want to, but show me more.
TSM.
So, dude, do you ever think like if China wanted, because this is like China stuff, whatever's going on in the Middle East, right? Like that's where they get a lot of their oil and whatever. If China tries to take back TSM, is Intel not the long of the century?
I've said this for 2 years. I have a friend at Anduril who says the American government should give Intel literally $1 trillion to become the new TSM for America, because he is convinced, he's biased because he works at Anduril, but he is convinced that China will invade Taiwan and we're going to be fucked. So yeah, I agree.
I can see it. I did, for that reason, probably nibble a little Intel. Not even look in the chart, literally just as a hedge for that. It could go to zero for all I care, but like if it happens, I want to say at least I had a little bit. But yeah, you're actually very close to resistance again. So this one may be a little bit too fast today. 6.8%.
It's a big move.
It's a big move. So I mean, clearly strong, but right back into resistance. This is the breakdown. 340. I mean, I'm on a 1-minute chart right now, but like literally right here, 340.66 bounce. Upside of that is 350, but this little orange is the resistance area. That one I don't like right now. It's not really a breakdown anyways, so it's not any kind of a discount. Like really, I mean, maybe if you got in at the highs, it feels like a discount, but this one is already right into resistance. This is much further along than NVIDIA or any of them. I didn't even look at the chart of Intel. Hey,
it's funny that you just bought it because you had a feeling. Like that's what the stock market is. Like you didn't really care. You're just like, you know what?
I think
I'm worried about Taiwan today. I'm buying Intel.
I saw 42 and I'm like, you know what? 42 was a big, I remember 42 over here. So this was like massive support. 20. I mean, I remember from 2018. And this is resistance. So it's over 42 here now. If it can hold, it's honestly, again, relative strength, almost even stronger than AMD. Semis as a sector is good. Dude, maybe TJ was right.
Maybe.
Do you remember that? It was like all in 18 bucks. Yeah. I didn't tell.
He's not in it anymore, but
oh man.
But he was. Can we do MRVL? And are you still in this trade or no?
I am still in this trade. I opened some puts the other day, and then I trimmed a little bit. But we talked about this. I am pleasantly surprised, but like I said before, I hedged literally right here just the other day. I still have a little bit on, but I expected this to be at 80 bucks again, right? I really did. Because that's what
saved the day.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the movie before, but it's not. And we got some news today. I think this is news driven, but again, $100. I think, I've kind of said on MRVL like the whole time, like you're not really in it for this $100 move. If you're in it, it's probably a lot bigger than that. But to try to trade it actively, it's kind of hard, especially at this level. But again, this is resistance. I expect it to hold as resistance. If it doesn't, great. But I can't take an active new position here. 87 was, I guess it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s this morning.
Yeah, that not Nike, NVIDIA news was big. They went on CNBC together. Like, it definitely helped pump it. We briefly touched on it, but can we do Micron and SanDisk again? And just your general thoughts on memory?
SanDisk, I think SanDisk is more storage than memory, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm seeing in the chart. So SanDisk and Micron are very different looking charts right now. Both are concerning in terms of like you have this fake out breakout, we call it, and then push back into support. The good thing about SanDisk is that it did not get out of its box, if you will. Micron is just broken down. And I think, oops, I reset that on accident. It's not that this isn't going to break down. It's definitely stronger. And I think it's the nuance between a Micron, a memory specific storyline and a storage specific storyline. And literally that. So that's all I can say. If you see in the sevens again, one more time, be a little bit more cautious than optimistic. Right here, you're actually over the center point here. So like, as long as it's over 6, you're on its way back to 7.25. Is that a lot for a SanDisk shareholder? It's probably a nothing burger. Probably didn't even notice that it went down because it's been in this range for like the whole year. It's a higher low after a higher high. That's the constructive part. So if I were to pick one or the other, it actually would be SanDisk here. Although I think it's very, very expensive.
Micron on the multiple, are you at all interested?
I don't think the Micron multiple has anything to do with this really, like it's Western Digital. So like cyclicals like this, I think the closer it is to a normal multiple, the more it becomes a sell. And the lower, like it's like as the multiple is going up from nothing. But it's cheap. You can't say that it's not cheap by any means. So if you like it, I think you're okay. What I'll do here is like we'll just do a basic. So if it's not clear, like here's the consolidation. That's at 365. You go 470, 360 to 300. It's a pretty heavy drawdown, but right now this is Micron. This is how it's trading. It can for a 4-5% move today. Honestly, Micron's been moving like 10% a day sometimes. So it's very possible that it's back into 366. I would not be long Micron unless I saw all the way up to, let's say, 400 and then 370 and then more chop. And then as it's breaking back through, like at that point, I would probably say, okay, you're at least going to here. But even there, you're more, the problem is that any rejection in and underneath 376, it's going to be a problem. Technically speaking, from a technical trader's perspective, this is very classic, what we call distribution. I think I posted this. Yeah, I did post this. So like, this is Micron's chart. It was just a tweet, right? So like distribution blueprint from 1910, over 100 years ago, step by step. You have the upthrust, sign of weakness, last chance. This is the blueprint. How do I close this sidebar? This is the blueprint. Like you have your consolidation, and I go to the chart. Any failure in this 380 area, 385, it's happening as in like the distribution is happening. The problem is that it already started to go. So this already happened. Then you get another push up. I think Micron specifically here now, you still want to see that kind of like maybe base form and then get back into. But it's in an active breakdown right now. It's just what's happening.
And then WDC, you think same as SanDisk?
No, it's just Micron. So that's what I'm saying. It's just Micron. I don't know if the rest will follow. So like you can watch. This is a very sketchy setup, actually, now that I'm looking at it on Western Dig. Sketchy as in like here's your uptrend and you're going to retest your uptrend like that. And that's how the breakdowns happen. Literally like that. So like this, I think you can watch these. These are very strong coming out or coming into it, holding support on these. I want to see that continued strength. And if I can, so 7.5%, if I can see continued strength up through, so like over 285, 290, I'm really not that worried about this. But this is similar to TSM, where it's like you're right back into major resistance already. Micron, like if it shows a little bit more tomorrow, I mean, sure, we can get back up to 366, potentially 380s. But at that point, like if I do see that here, that's when I want to be more cautious. I can let this happen here, but I need to see that immediate bounce at these lows. And I need to see this area turn into support in the future after breaching, like literally that sequence of events.
ZETA.
ZETA. I mean, it's back to the level. Again, support, but I'm just super cautious. Can I do one thing on SPY? So IWM is one where like, do you know why IWM's been holding up so well other than XBI?
Well, regionals are what year to date? Yeah, regionals are flat. I would say it's regional KRE.
It's literally just XBI. So like, which is only 20% of IWM. If rates are not going lower, I just don't know why IWM would be this strong. That's super funny to me. I'm not really.
You think it's being manipulated or not manipulated? But you think the algos are buying it for like to confuse people?
I mean, XBI is in a breakout, which is like it's either 20 or 30% of IWM, one of the two. It's a massive component. It's KRE and XBI represent about 50% of IWM. So it's being held up by that. But that much, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just be super cautious. We can have bounces. If you're over 16, then you will see 18 or 1780. That's technically, I can see that, boom. But at that point, you need to be cautious. You would expect this to come back down to 16, and then you want to see this go up through. This here, honestly, you're probably already in it. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see rejection, because this is the rejection into 12s. And here, you don't want to see this, and then rejection, also rejection in 12s. So that would be ZETA. It's not going to be in the clear until you're back over 17 and change. This is support. The fourth test of support. You need to see this continue. I don't see you need to. I'm just going to back to SPY for just a minute. Sorry. But like, so we're in March. I heard you mention something earlier. Last March was before Liberation Day, right?
Yeah.
And this is last March, right in here. March, end of March 14th. I'm talking about getting this. Like, I'm talking about having and this is exactly what happened last year. Not that history is ever exactly the same, but the setup is exactly the same. You have your week slow bleed off before Liberation Day. And then you have, how many is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 days, 2 weeks, which is what I've been saying, of bounce, but ends up being slop and chop. And then you end up retesting this. This is the worst case scenario. This worst case scenario, if I pull this back, also at the same time retested prior support, which would be the equivalent today of like our 670. At that time, it's 570, 575 of a counter trend bounce right into resistance. Oddly enough, it is exactly March of 2025, which is right in front of, which is when the buybacks come back. You get some new flow at the index level. This is a counter trend bounce. And then we, in this moment, we got into Liberation Day. But I'm telling you now, this is the exact same setup. It's always there beforehand. It wouldn't have been along anyways to me on Liberation Day. It just that's my biggest concern. So yes, 48 hours of glory for sure. Might even be 2 weeks of glory because that was pretty good. 2 weeks counter trend bounce. But that is how they would get you from a chart perspective. And that's what I'm trying to say to be cautious of. And that literally looks like this, right? And then we'd be back here, at which point we're in the gulag. And I don't want to do that because this is very possible. So, all right, carrying on.
Rivian.
Someone says, help, please. Rivian's going to do deliveries. I don't know the ticker. If I even type the ticker, this is going to be bad.
Hey, what does help do? Help is a...
Oh, I typed it.
No, I'm looking at. They're a drug company.
Cyven. Is that the lows? I don't know anything about this. There's a lot of M&A going on in XBI too, so it's probably a lot of that.
Yeah.
Rivian's going to have deliveries also. This is that support area from before. I just don't like these crazy pops like this. Look, Rivian 2027, 2026 is a transition year. The market is going to be up and down. They got some more money, which we kind of knew they needed. They're not going to be releasing R2s for a while. Any kind of pump on the R2 that's not real, like it's just the process. They're transitioning to new models. We'll have to see how it goes. But deliveries are going to come out, I think, on Thursday for all of these guys, Wednesday or Thursday. But this is support.
ASML.
I mean, now that would be, that's a hard call.
There's no fundamental reason for it to revisit October 2024 lows, given the business. But obviously,
the question is, like, did it deserve to be up here? Just like you questioned me on Hoodie. Did the Hoodie deserve to be at 160?
Yeah, I don't know enough because I don't study the business that well. But they did have a monster earnings.
Yeah,
last month. I don't know. People swear by this name, though. People love ASML.
The tooling and things like that. Let's look at the cohort. So LRCX. KLA. Strong. So semis, but specific industry within that. These are relatively fine. It's a little sketchy here. If this is just breaking down a little bit of a bounce, I think that if you can't get over 14 in strength, I could see this counter trend bounce up to 14. This is about to break down. It basically just barely got saved. Here's your low end 13s. I just don't want to see it like, what is this, 1250? Deeply below, because you have a lot of unfilled levels. This is, I think it's pretty news driven stock. But if you like it long term, it's not really presenting you with much of a discount. It's just like, look, if it's below 1250, expect at least 1050, probably quickly. That would be like this. That's your prior support area. That's your prior breakout area. At which point it could bounce again. Best case would be something like that. But again, you'd want to wait for that kind of structure to show up. And if it goes too far, like sub 1,000, and then it can't get over 1,000, that's the only time you have a bigger problem here. So this doesn't, to me, represent a great discount. I think around 1,000 is a better discount. Is that the discount? I don't know. I'm showing the nines potentially, but 1,000 should be expected on a typical pullback if this pulls back.
ARM.
I was short ARM for a day, closed. Oh,
You
there
went
it
short
is.
everything yesterday, bro.
Huh?
You went short everything on Friday, it seems like.
On Friday, it was semis. Semis were looking like they were going to crack. And they did for like a day. And didn't take heavy, but like the option trades were like 250%, dude. like instant. Like, how do I not take that down? I have to take that down. And then I left a little bit on, and then I closed the rest. So ARM is tough just because it's like this giant consolidation here, like massive. So it's, to me, it's just kind of like in the range. The range is, I think, 165 right now. It's a strong bounce at the sector level. It's kind of in this bullish reversal scenario, but it's not breaking through. It's closer to resistance right now. I mean, if you like it, you just don't do anything here unless it's like really breaking down in strength. I think from this perspective, 155 is a given, but at 155, which is going to be, I'll just pull this box down to here, right here, 154 and change. That's probably tomorrow morning. The thing is, if at the index level, if we don't open over whatever level I said, 152 and change, I do expect a bit of a pullback. And then we need to see 640 hold. But if we do open over 652, it's probably 48 hours of glory. Like, for real.
Shopify.
Shopify. Might even be more than 48 hours of glory. Hope I didn't scare anybody off with last March. It's just like that was just the most recent perfect example of a counter trend.
That was also literally the pain before the gain.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about right now. Literally what I'm talking about right now. So just cautious. Yeah, shop 125s, and then you're back in that resistance. That's where she gets rejected. This is a very hard stock to trade. Like, if you took it off the 109s right here, which is a measured pullback, that's just like, if you're in it, you're in it. You don't need to do anything. You kind of expect it to get to 125, 126, and trade through this. Like, this is a very tradable range. If it cannot get through there, then you're quickly expecting this also. This ends up being the same trade that we have on Meta. And again, just like Meta, if it loses the equivalent of 585 on Meta, this is deeper. If after everything's said and done, it probably won't happen right now, but after everything's said and done, it's more like, are the consumers weak, right? If we have higher inflation because of oil, do companies advertise and build? I mean, I don't know. Shopify is not just Shopify is not advertising. That's TT. This is like building your company.
It's just their multiple is still pretty aggressive. It's like CrowdStrike. So, but their growth is great. Their multiples, dude, their multiples competitive with Palantir. You know, like that's
really,
yeah.
So would you rather?
I mean, I'd rather Palantir, but I'm getting 70% growth and 51% margins on Palantir.
Yeah. How's AppLovin doing? I guess we could look at
Yeah,
that.
so let's do that one too.
Yeah, CrowdStrike was, I think last week we outlined that 372 level. Looks like we opened below and then finally breached over. So this would set up for a nicer bounce. This sets up for a little bit bigger bounce that could be into the 420s. And the reason why I'm saying I got to stop there is, like, look at the March SPY setup. March of last year, or yeah, last year, March. That's exactly what we don't want to see. In that scenario, we still bounced from here, and it still had a little bit higher to go. But right when we get to that spot, it's like, careful.
Lilly.
Biotech, right? This should look good. I did not look at it today. This chart should look good if we're right. That's
Bro, what if the XBI pump is all fake? What
because
if
of
it's
Lilly?
all fake?
So, like, Lilly is one. Here's the thing. Lilly, that's a big breakdown. If this goes like a penny higher, you're at least to 970. Like just barely any little bit. There's a squeeze that goes on. Like 926.50. I go $40. Boom. Single session probably. How many dollars is up today? $33. Yeah, that's $40 is within an average, like is very possible on a single session for Lily. That's wild. I'm just messing up this timer, dude, real bad. It is a little bit of a dip into this prior consolidation. I would say 966. The issue becomes that this whole thing could be a fake out. So this has to be a dip into. It actually needs to get higher. It needs to get back closer to 990 and then break over and then hold. That's the only time you're going to be in the clear like this. Otherwise, this is potentially another oversold bounce that should take you up to here. What you don't want to see is get there, lose the 20, chop around a little bit, and then do this. That's what sets this up lower. So in either scenario, like how Palantir was last week, if I'm a bull or a bear, I wanted to see it get back down to 140. There are charts right here, right now. Lily, if I'm a bull or a bear, I want to see it get back to 966. Either way, either to short it or to reclaim its breakout.
AVGO, European stock.
Is that a ticket?
I think it's ADYN.
Yeah.
ADYEY.
I got it.
Oh no, you're
no
on the
idea.
You're on the wrong one. ADYEY.
EY. OTC.
Yeah, there you go. It's a payments company. Their valuation is crazy. Stripe's valuation looks insane compared to their valuation.
I mean, payments company, like, if we have high inflation, we're going to start questioning the consumer. That's what would be concerning about something like an Amazon and things like that. When they start questioning the consumer, is the consumer strong or weak? We're not there yet, but they're going to start talking about it. This is a spot. It's not in an uptrend. It's clearly breaking down. It's getting towards support. So honestly, I don't know if this is like a squeezy stock where it has like a large, I don't know the personality of it, but it can go a little bit lower. I'd like to see this take some time and do that same kind of thing. And then when it's over, I'll give you the number. When it's over $10.50 coming out of this liquidity, that's when it's going to be ready. If you want to snipe it down here, very much like next, like it's the same kind of thing. I'll tell you like that's probably 7 and change for your actual support down here. It depends on how invested you are in a stock like this. I know nothing about it. It's just going to grind until it's back up over 1057. At that point, cool, you can start bouncing a little bit. You'll probably see 11. That's going to be resistance. And so you have to be concerned when you get to 11 and change, even if you do get this here like that you don't want to see it get rejected again. This is setting up to be like a long haul thing. If this is the low, even still, it would be a long haul kind of road to recovery here, which if you sign up for that, that's all good. So your next inflection point to 12 and a quarter. All right, next.
All right, we got 5 more left, then we got to get out of here. So we're going to do these final 5 rapid fire. Jason, if you can get them with like 30 seconds, we can get another 5 more in.
I'm not even going to do this. You just tell me.
Okay. Ondas.
I don't know how I feel about the same spot. That was general. This holds 880. You can go back up to 10. You don't want it lower. Like this was potential, like we talked about this being a squeeze. So if I took those fibs off this area, the squeeze was this breakout. It is squeezed to the downside. That's what's happened. It's already happened. And so here now, best case is you get up here, but this is now not happening right now. At 10, I would be cautious, and it might not even get there if this is really bad.
Rubric.
I liked Rubric. This was a simple, like $45 was a level. I like the company. I love the company, actually. It at $9 billion, $10 billion market cap, it was literally that kind of a question. Similar to how, like, when we're talking about Fastly, I think Fastly still is like a $4 billion market cap. But at the time I was looking at it, was like $1 billion market cap. I'm like, dude, that's a little low. It does have an addressable TAM thing, but this company is growing like a weed. I was fine with it, but you got to be in it for a long haul. This can still go a little bit lower. 40 is the next level. Right here, right now, you get a little bit of a bounce. I'd want to see this when this gets closer to 55. If it can even get up to 55, I need to be a little bit more cautious. The higher this goes from here, this is a great bounce. Let's see. I wouldn't, something like Rubric, if you bought it, it's probably for a longer term. I like this one. And I definitely like it if it holds this 45 level.
Credo.
Interesting one. Just so first breakdown's over here. I think this is a little bit of an extension. Yeah. So that first extension completed. Now you're coming back in to retest this breached support. So this one's one where I could actually watch to see if you get a bigger counter trend rally. It didn't make it yet, so it's barely 94. So if it can get back over 94, this one actually can get a nice little bounce, like 20-30 bucks. And then again, be cautious, maybe around 110 if this bounces. Otherwise, it's not really there yet. Over 94 and a half, you should be able to get that $10 bounce.
AAOI.
So this is like my corny, but not. While the market decided that they weren't going to believe in the data center spend, which is what happened, this one was like actively breaking down. This is smaller cap. You're out of the consolidation here. Today's that first breach. You don't want to see any failures here. If this fails back down, this is exactly that Micron beginning. If it does this, that's exactly how that happens. And so, but that failure can be anywhere up into 95s. So that's the biggest issue here, is that this has got to get well over 95. A counter trend bounce can take you to 95, but if you get that rejection and you start losing 85s, that's how this begins. So it all begins with the counter trend bounce and then an umbrella of some sort, like some kind of umbrella. I need an umbrella icon up there. That would be not fun. But you know, this is a wild stock. It moves a lot every day.
Grab.
Grabby grab. Why do I have a line there? Oh, that's the point of control from before. I mean, this is it. It's a DCA spot. It's not, if you like it, did you add it? No, you're full. He's full. He's full, boys and girls. Did you?
I have a ton, but I will be adding more in my retirement account in about a week.
What if you don't get a week?
Dude, I really doubt it's going to 450 in a week. If it messes up my chance to buy below 4 in a week, I mean, I wouldn't complain, but
yeah, we'll see. This should bounce to. It should at least get to 4. If it stops at 386, it's not going to be fun. But yeah, you want to see this next move to the upside over 4, and then if it does do that, this is a daily chart. It would have to be this little wick is 395. So if this gets over there, even for a little bit, I don't expect it to hold, but if it can then make a higher low from there around 380 and start to build some structure, that is what I would want to see from like that, the base. That would be the beginnings of a bearish to bullish reversal.
Right. AppLovin.
Scared. Just testing the lows. I need to see more out of this one, but if it's over 403, then I can get like $50 on a counter trend bounce. It's a trader. $50 from 402 to, wow, that would be a counter trend bounce to like 450s. You're at a level coming out of support. So you've already hit support over 403. That's when I'm basically saying it's coming out of support, which is the best case scenario. Then I should be going to the next resistance level, at which point I expect resistance to hold. But that is here. And then this could be like the box. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is you get this.
Terrawolf.
Wolf? No, that's what's the ticker?
WULF.
W. Oh,
U.
Wolf.
Yep.
I thought these guys went bankrupt.
Me too. But they're still around.
What happened? This is a very spiky chart, dude. So I like, look at these. This is a weekly chart, and the amount of what we call wicks is just intense. So it's very hard to read. I almost feel like I need to go on a monthly chart on this bad boy, and I can get a pretty clean read on a monthly. Yeah, I think that's what I would want to do. And I would say this is your box 17 to 11, which seems to be a lot. If we have like March or April fully outside of this range, over 17, complete month, entire month, cool. Right now, this is consolidation to the max. This is this consolidation is $35% downside. It almost might be a day trading stock with those crazy wicks. But the downside of support is about the 200-day simple. You just don't want to lose that. Like if you lose that, then you do have a very, this is a fake out breakout. You have a lower high here out of this actually looks like it's going to 11. And then it's a process to break down, which includes a counter trend bounce or two. Even here now, I just don't want to see this. You see this? This is how it would begin. That would be worst case scenario. And actually, that's kind of what it looks like it's trying to do. So this needs to get over 17 and hold. Otherwise, it's just in a holding pattern. Maybe good for premium selling if they have premium. All right, next.
All right, last four real quick. HIMS.
HIMS. Oh, dude. That's the number. That's the number. This is on our old 1870. Did anybody buy this?
I mean, this thing is still getting shorted to death, which is the issue.
Sure, yeah.
It is the number. You're right.
It's what we charted out literally perfectly. So here, what has to happen is that you have to really hold. I would give this a lot of runway, and I would say hold over. I would want to see this next month trending over 22. If at any point this is below 1850, I don't even need to wait for like a weekly close. I'm just going to tell you it's going back to the lows at any point if it's below 1850. But that's this setup right here.
Cloudflare.
Squeezy. There. This one's high risk. Definitely no breakdown. Definitely in the consolidation area. It's not ready to break out. You want to see, so it's structurally fine-ish, but if you lock a lower high quickly on something like Cloudflare, this one usually breaks down sooner than later. And I think I actually have in this moment probably a short setup on Cloudflare, which I missed at 220. That is resistance up here. If 209 can't break and hold through, I'd be way more cautious. Otherwise, I could see this 220 coming back in, but this is not getting out of consolidation until it's over 230. Otherwise, this is just a big range, which is making a lower high.
Lemonade.
I took one short on this and then I didn't take the next one. Like I should have grabbed it over here. But it's healthcare. It's not really biotech. I could spend a little bit of time on this one. So here's our box here. Is this Spencer's pick?
It is not.
Oh, okay. I mean, sub 58, we go back to 53. It's not a big range. This range is getting tighter and tighter on Lemonade. It looks like you just had a counter trend bounce. If this is back below 58, this is probably gonna come down a little bit more. But again, it's not broken either. So it's just it's a very large consolidation area over 58. Over 68, then you can but that's resistance 68. So like right over here.
Okay. Last thing is someone wants to look at cotton futures.
I don't know the ticker of that, but commodities are probably good. I saw this ticker.
CTK6.
CTK6.
If that pops up. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know if the chart looks interesting to
Oh,
you.
that's a long, baby. Yeah. No, you said no hesitation at all.
Dude, are we really about to go long cotton right now? Are we about to do it?
Long corn. We're going long corn. Dude, we're going long DBA.
DBA?
The agriculture. So relative strength. This is the agriculture ETF. We looked at this in our internal, like one of our coaching sessions. Sorry to put this on, but this is a space. Also, sleeper space. Just saying. I don't know. Yeah, we're through slow stock.
Aren't higher oil prices bad though for old corn and all this shit? Like,
dude, no, this stuff is coming through the strait also.
So isn't that bad because the strait's closed?
No,
or there's just more
commodities.
demand. So the price would, yeah, the price would go up. Right. You're right.
What is the corn ticker? ZC. I don't know. If you want to play it though, like if legitimately, it would be this DVA ETF, which is going to capture pretty much all of it. Also looking it's slow.
Cotton, bro. Cotton. All right, folks. Well, that is what we have for Mr. Jason today. I think we got through about 50 tickers. So thank you, Jason. Today's session was rooted around this idea of 48 hours of glory. And the concept is if we can break above 652, then we can get to 670 over the next 48 hours. If we can't, then we kind of stay sideways. Hopefully we don't collapse below 643.
Break means we want to open and close above.
Correct.
Yeah, and hold above. If we can hold above 652, let's say next week, it's in the cards. It's in the cards for sure.
That's what we got. Jason, thank you. There's his Twitter. There's his YouTube. Again, Jason was at the LA meetup. It was super awesome. He confirmed today to me he will be in Chicago.
The
Windy City. True. So if you want to come to the Chicago meetup, I'm putting the ticket link in the chat. You will be able to see him. We're going to have a little bit something more structured for Jason at the meetup because now that he's being a part of these meetups, we're going to make sure that he has a bit more infrastructure to talk to people more easily and stuff like that. We learned a lot from this LA meetup, so it will be very exciting to have him in Chicago. And yeah, it should be a fun time as we get through the rest of the year.
Oh, Mike replied. Mike, you rock. I actually felt bad. I read some. It actually looks like a good trader. We probably would have been cool. But anyways.
Dude, you wanted that beef yesterday. Sometimes
I did not. I was just honestly.
I wanted beef before, and look. You get beef, you want it, and then you realize
I don't want beef. You know me. I don't lose my cool at all. Like this, and I just don't.
No, but if you see someone in your niche not living up to the potential of your ability to communicate, sometimes you want beef with them. I get it. Like I understand why you did what you did, but it always bites you in the ass. Every time I've initiated beef, and I didn't like look
It
for it.
wasn't-
But someone threw a shot, and I'm like, all right, look. Now they throw a shot. I'm like, bro, I just, you know, I'm done with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even worth it. But apparently,
But Mike, I'm good. I like your stuff. That's all I know.
All right, make sure to follow Jason on YouTube and on X. He does this for us every single week for 4 hours. Deeply appreciate him. We will see you guys next Tuesday.
Cool. Later, guys. Peace.
Thank you, everybody. See you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everyone.